Chapter 1391. The Lord is not joking. Lord of all races contest. When did the Supreme will become so eager to succeed? Has the battle between Lord and the Crimson Overlord intensified? Or has the war with the illusionist clan fallen into an even more disadvantageous situation? He muttered to himself. Probably both. Zophite said. According to what I know, the Supreme will held this Lord of all races competition because it couldn't defeat the invasion of the Crimson Overlord. Also, I've heard about the invasion of the illusionist clan. The Yellow River has already fallen into the hands of the illusionist clan. The will of the Yellow River has died in the process of protecting the Yellow River. Zophite suddenly felt a chill run down his spine as soon as these words were spoken. With his current Master God tier elementary grade supreme sacred body physique, it was very rare and even unbelievable that he could still feel cold. However, he did feel cold. It wasn't just the coldness of the divine body. There was even the coldness of the soul. It was even cold enough to invade one's will. He looked up. He saw Regal Soul Heaven's suddenly cold and even terrifying gaze. What did you say? Yellow River's will. What happened to her? He asked in a low voice. Zophite was stunned. After pondering for a few seconds, he said, Yellow River's will has died. The Yellow River has also completely fallen into the hands of the illusionist clan. Currently, the souls of the myriad worlds are still in a state of no return. It's said that the Supreme will wants to temporarily create a new land of reincarnation, so that the souls of the myriad worlds can smoothly reincarnate. The Regal Soul Heaven closed his eyes and smiled gently. The illusionist clan. His voice was as deep as the roar of an abyssal demon. Swoosh. His figure instantly disappeared. When Zophite saw this, he suddenly thought of something. Wasn't this Regal Soul Heaven ambushed and killed by the other party's experts while resisting the illusionist clan? Only his remains were snatched back. Furthermore, this big shot already had the reputation of a reincarnation regal when he was alive, and had already begun to gradually deal with the reincarnation matters of the Supreme Great Cosmos. With his identity and authority, he definitely had an extremely deep relationship with the Netherworld and Yellow River. He might also have a good relationship with the will of the Netherworld and the will of Yellow River. This is really a new and old grudge, Zophite muttered. Then he frowned slightly and muttered, however, the illusionist clan's strength is mysterious and powerful, and Regal Soul Heaven has just been revived. If we face them directly, will Regal Soul Heaven be in danger? Even though he and Regal Soul Heaven had just met, his actions and words still made Zophite have a better impression of him. Therefore, Zophite really didn't want anything to happen to him. However, after some thought, his brows relaxed. Those who could become Supreme God Realm experts were not fools, nor were they impulsive people. There was no need for him to worry too much. Then, he looked in the direction of the people of foreign races. The remaining 30 to 40 capital units army, 300 to 400 million God spirits, 40 to 50,000 true God tiers, and more than 20 supremacies still didn't leave after Regal Soul Heaven left. They were still trembling in fear. Zophite clicked his tongue and felt a little envious. This was the terror of the Supreme God Realm. Even if they had already left, they could still intimidate the enemies. At this moment, the Origin Master God finally came back to his senses. He cautiously glanced at Zophite. After hesitating for a moment, he took out a Supreme God Realm scroll that emitted a 5-colored light. Then, he opened it without hesitation and saw a 5-colored light flash across the starry sky. In the next second, all the troops brought by the original spirit race disappeared. When the Chaos Gods race and Shepherd's God race saw this, they used their own methods to bring away all the troops they had brought with them. At this point under the starry sky, there were only 4 armies left from the Dragon race, the Elemental race, the Chi race, and the Leviathan race. The total number of the 4 races' armies was only about 10 capital unit soldiers, 60 million God spirits, more than 8,000 true God tiers, and 6 master gods. The leader of their race was stunned when he saw that the 3 big brothers were the first to run away. Why did he run? Didn't that Regal Soul Heaven leave? Now is the best time to take down the other party, before the common people's regal reacts. Are you stupid? That common people's Regal clearly has a good relationship with Regal Soul Heaven. If you attack him now, can Regal Soul Heaven deal with us when he's free? He is the Supreme God Realm. Would the Supreme will allow he to interfere in the Lord's war? It's true that he is a Supreme God Realm existence, but he has just been resurrected. Moreover, it's very likely that he will become a willpower level powerhouse in the future. Even the Supreme Will would be more tolerant of such an existence. So what do we do? What else can we do? Run. With just a few words, the leaders of the various races decided to retreat. Then, they couldn't care less about their heart's ache, and immediately took out their Supreme God Realm treasures to leave. As for Master God tier treasures, they were definitely not enough. With the combat power of the two top Master God tiers, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu, they could easily interrupt the effects of their Master God tier treasures and stop them from leaving. However, just as they were using Supreme God Realm treasures, they were shocked to discover that their Supreme God Realm treasures were actually useless. They looked up. In the cosmos where they were, an illusory 9-story pagoda had appeared at some point in time. This 9-story pagoda enveloped the starry sky with a radius of hundreds of square light years and sealed the space here, trapping them here. This is Supreme God Realm treasure? And it's at least a grade 2 Supreme God Realm treasure, they said in disbelief. At this moment, they looked directly above the Eternal Mothership. Zhou Fight was holding a real and slowly rotating 9-story pagoda in his hand and looking at them with a faint smile. Trying to run? Zhou Fight said with a faint smile. Have you asked my grade 3 Supreme God Realm treasure, the 9 Saints Heaven Imprisoning Tower? At the same time, within the blazing sun divine capital. Your Majesty, do you only need me to lend you 5 Supreme God Realm treasures? Terence hesitated for a moment and said, Your Majesty, since the crisis of the Kingdom Founding War has passed, I should return those Supreme God Realm treasures to you. Those are too precious. Yes, let's return it to you too. These Supreme God Realm treasures are more than all the Supreme God Realm treasures we have. We don't need so many Supreme God Realm treasures either. Your Majesty, your clone often walks outside, so these Supreme God Realm treasures are what we need the most. Top Birth and the other 3 Master Gods said. When Zhou saw that Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu had trapped the racial factions that wanted to retreat, a smile appeared on his face. Then, he heard Terence and the others' words. He turned to look at them. Don't tell me you think that this Emperor gave those Supreme God Realm treasures to you just to survive this crisis before taking them back? We don't have that idea. Terence and company hurriedly shook their heads. Even if that was what they thought, they could not say it out loud. Don't worry. Since this Emperor said that he would give you those Supreme God Realm treasures, it means that he will give them to you. He will not take them back. Furthermore, this Emperor won't lack Supreme God Realm treasures in the future. He won't even lack Supreme God Realm inheritances. A smile appeared on Zhou's face, with the channels of the mysterious Merchant Chamber of Commerce, and most importantly, the Supreme Unique Lord Talent. How could he lack Supreme God Realm treasures in the future? Furthermore, as the ruler of a country, it was the most basic principle for a monarch not to joke. He would not easily violate this principle. Zhou had no intention of taking it back since he had given something out. Chapter 1392. Defeating the 4-Race Alliance Army, 1. In the active universe, inside the 9 Saints Heaven Imprisoning Tower. The Dragon, Elemental, Chi, and Leviathan armies were trapped here. Everyone surrender. You're not this Emperor's match. This Emperor can guarantee that as long as you sincerely surrender to this Emperor, you can still be the patriarchs of the various races. It's just that this Emperor will be above you. However, if you insist on resisting and not surrendering, to be honest, this Emperor also has many new recruits under me. They also need your promotion energy after death to advance. Zhou Fight said calmly. Common people's Regal, don't be too arrogant. The military strength between you and us is almost the same. Even if we really fight, the outcome is still unknown. Don't act like you've already won. If our allied forces fight to the death, who knows who will be able to walk out of this active universe alive? The leader of the Qi race, who was also at Master God tier advanced grade. Henri said sternly. However, perhaps because Regal Soul Heaven had given them a terrifying impression just now, Zhou Fight kept feeling that the other party's words were a little fierce on the surface. Right at that moment, Henri's expression suddenly softened. Common people's Regal. Why don't we each give some way? We won't stop you from competing for the ranking of the Lord of the Race this time. As for Venus and the Myriad Tao Monument, we don't want them either. Don't fight us today either. Let your soldiers sacrifice less to let us leave. If we really want to determine who's better in the future, we can find another world, and invite the various races and factions in the myriad worlds to be witnesses and fight head-on. How'd it go? How'd it go? This emperor doesn't think much of it. A smile appeared on Zhou Fight's lips. This emperor feels that it's better to defeat you now, so that he can win more easily in the future. How dare you? What an arrogant human. You're crazy. What makes you so confident that you can win? Aren't you just relying on the power left behind by Regal Soul Heaven to clamor? What's there to be arrogant about? Now that Regal Soul Heaven has left, even if we kill you here, it will be in accordance with the rules of the lords of all races. Even if Regal Soul Heaven comes, he won't be able to say anything. The leaders of the various races and their soldiers shouted angrily. Now that the military strength of both sides was about the same, if they really fought, it was really difficult to determine who would win. Zhou Fight could not be bothered to say anything else. Attack! Destroy all enemies before you, he ordered. Yes, the soldiers roared in unison. Then, Zero instantly crossed the distance of light years, and arrived not far from the alliance of the four races. Then the door of the Eternal Mothership opened. Millions of troops from the capital units, tens of millions of gods, thousands of true god tiers, and more than 20 supremacies flew out and attacked the four-race alliance army. The four alliance forces did not expect the other party to make such a decisive decision. They had not even discussed it for a while before they called someone over. War was a matter of national importance. Any decision has to be made carefully. This common people's Regal was good. He would fight just like that. They really did not care about the lives of their soldiers. If Zhou Fight heard what the other party was thinking, he would definitely laugh in his heart. I don't value the lives of my soldiers? You have to see who among his soldiers values their lives. After the soldiers under he were resurrected once or twice, their perception of life changed bit by bit. Now the soldiers under he felt like they were players in a game. What is the big deal about dying? I have the passive ability to revive myself. What? The passive ability of resurrection has been used up? Where are the clergymen of the life arc? Place my belongings on the life arc's resurrection altar this instance. I want to be resurrected. I still want to fight. I still want to earn military merits. I still want to protect the country and conquer the enemy. This attitude towards life and death reminded Zhou of a concept he had learned from reading novels on the Cerulean planet. The fourth calamity. He felt that the soldiers under his command were like the fourth calamity. They did not care about life and death. Everything was based on the interests of the country and their personal interests, and they were extremely motivated. At the same time, when the four alliance armies saw that the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom was already charging over, regardless of whether they wanted to accept the battle previously, they had to now kill. As a Master God tier gave the order to attack, the soldiers and god spirits of the four allied forces also charged towards the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. The two sides soon came into contact and fought. At the beginning of the battle, the alliance of the four races was stunned. This was because the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom fought as if they did not care about their lives. It's like I'd rather lose half my life and take one of your arms, whatever the cost. The four allied forces felt as if they were fighting and killing a group of lunatics. Unreasonable. This was a group of crazy and unreasonable enemies. Almost all the soldiers and god spirits of the four-race alliance army had this thought in their minds. How many missed cores does the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom give you every month? Why are you playing with your lives? Due to this mentality, they were almost instantly beaten into submission. Coupled with the fact that they did not have any advantage in terms of military strength, the alliance of the four races immediately fell into a disadvantage on the battlefield. Chapter 1393. Defeating the Four-Race Alliance Army 2. When the leaders of the Four-Race Alliance saw this scene, they frowned and could not help but be secretly shocked. Why were the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom so different from the soldiers of other countries? Wasn't the difference in the quality of the soldiers too great? No wonder the Radiant Angel race could easily be defeated by this common people's regal. At this rate, they would be defeated sooner or later. At the thought of this, they looked at the few Supreme God Realm treasures in their hands. Should he use them to reverse the situation? Or should they take advantage of the chaos and retreat? They hesitated. They were afraid that after they used the Supreme God Realm treasure, the common people's regal would also take out other Supreme God Realm treasures to counter them. Not only would they waste the rare and precious Supreme God Realm treasures in their hands, but they would also completely expose themselves and lose the precious opportunity to retreat. At the same time, the moment the two sides fought, Zhou Fight slowly raised his right hand. In the next second, an invisible ripple covered the entire celestial battlefield with his palm as the center. A text notification appeared. Prompt: you have activated your mythical tier unique Lord talent, 10,000 Spirit Saint. All spirits see you as a supreme saint and long to follow you. Lord talent notification 1. There are two capital units, 4754, 698, 632, 655, 563 Black Iron Tier Foreign Race Soldiers. 1 capital unit, 8,256,278,596,323,620 Green Bronze Tier Foreign Race Soldiers. 1 capital unit, 3,326,652,098,528,784 White Silver Tier Foreign Race Soldiers. 562,211,078,429,623 Legendary Tier Foreign Race Soldiers. 15,626,522 Low-Tier Deity Level Foreign Race God Spirits. 10,213,699 Mid-Tier Deity Level Foreign Race God Spirits. 9,456,785 High-Tier Deity Level Foreign Race God Spirits. 4,693 Foreign Race True God Tier God Spirits. 3 Foreign Race Master Gods have voluntarily separated from their Lord forces and become your loyal followers. Lord Talent Notification 2. You have obtained a Spellcaster, Qi, True God Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou nodded slightly after reading it. Even though it was a pity that they had escaped from the original spirit race, the remaining 4 alliance forces of the Insight defection had also brought him 5 capital units, 6,243,566,328,965 soldiers of the 4 races, 35,297,006 God spirits, 4,693 true God tiers, and 3 master God tiers of the people of foreign races. This harvest was already quite good. As for the 3 races of the original spirit race, one day, he would bring the soldiers and God spirits under him to their territory and defeat them head-on with unquestionable strength. This was to establish his reputation as the Lord of all races. Then, he ordered the soldiers of the people of foreign races, who had instigated Insight defection to counterattack. The next second, they saw the soldiers and God spirits of the people of foreign races, who were originally fighting against the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, suddenly attacked their comrades. This sudden internal strife immediately stunned the people of foreign races, who had come into contact with such methods for the first time. Under the pincer attack of the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and the 10,000 Spirit Saint, the soldiers of the Alliance Army of the 4 races immediately suffered great casualties. The leaders of the 4 races naturally saw this scene. Their expressions changed drastically. One of the dragon race's Master God Tier Advanced Grade Golden Divine Dragons said with an ugly expression, "Oh no! This is the famous Insight defection method of the common people's regal. We had Regal Soul Heaven's Divine Bone previously, so we're naturally not afraid of this. However, Now that Regal Soul Heaven's divine bone is gone, we can no longer protect our soldiers from the other party's incite defection. Towards the end, he immediately fell silent. As for the god spirits, they could not defeat the god spirits of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, who had a complete set of divine artifacts. In terms of soldiers, they did not have much of an advantage in terms of numbers to begin with. Now that they had been instigated by the other party's incite defection, ordinary soldiers were already bound to lose on the battlefield. As for Supreme God Realm treasures, since the other party had a third-stage Supreme God Realm treasure, like the Nine Saints Heaven Imprisoning Tower, there was a high chance that he also had other Supreme God Realm treasures. At this moment, this yellow gold sacred dragon god actually realized that he did not have any advantage in winning this battlefield. He suddenly understood why this common people's regal could start a war with them without hesitation. This was because he knew that he was fighting a battle he would definitely win. At the thought of this, he suddenly felt a little disappointed. As a high-level bloodline race, they were actually beaten to this state by a human who had been unknown for countless years. Could it be as the rumors in the myriad world said? The era that belonged to them was over. The future belonged to the new lords of the thousands of races, like the common people's regal. Right at that moment, an unbelievable scene appeared in front of him. The master god of the Leviathan race, Onion, suddenly reached out his claws and tore through the body of the master god of the Chi race in front of him. He grabbed the master god tier divine spark inside his body and pulled it out. The aura of this master god tier of the Chi race immediately weakened by more than half. He turned to look at Onion in disbelief. "Why are you?" Onion sneered and glanced at the other 7 supremacies with an extremely cold and unfamiliar gaze. "It's over for you. Surrender quickly and submit to our Lord. On account of your status as master gods, our great and magnanimous Blazing Sun God Lord will give you good treatment. At the very least, you will have normal treatments befitting that of worshipped master gods," he said proudly. As soon as he finished speaking, the other 2 master gods from the dragon and elemental races arrived behind Onion. Obviously, they and Onion had already submitted to the Zhou fight under the power of the 10,000 Spirit Saint. Even a top master god of the myriad races can be instigated by the strange methods of the common people's regal. When the yellow gold sacred dragon saw this scene, its expression was filled with disbelief. How could the methods of the Lord's laws were all so heaven-defying? The yellow gold sacred dragon god sensed the second stage Supreme God Realm treasure in its world rings. After hesitating for a long time, it finally smiled bitterly and said, "I surrender. It's not too embarrassing for me to lose to someone with the legendary dragon bloodline." He had long sensed the complicated and diverse legendary dragon bloodlines in Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. Furthermore, he had also seen the 2 legendary dragon, Your Excellency, the Abyssal Holy Dragon and the Light Sacred Dragon, in the other party's army. Even the legendary dragon race was willing to serve this human regal. What was there to feel humiliated about? At the thought of this, the unhappiness and depression in his heart dissipated slightly. He even felt that his defeat was not something unacceptable. "At least you know your place." Onion nodded in satisfaction. Then he looked at the last master god tier. It was the master god of the Leviathan race like him. At the same time, he was his biological brother. "Brother, do you choose to surrender, or do you want to die at your brother's hands?" He grinned. He clearly looked like he was smiling, but there was a coldness in the depths of his eyes. "I surrender, Brother Onion." Onion smiled and replied, Onion, you made a wise choice. When you officially join the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, you will know how lucky your decision today is." Onion smiled. He opened his hands and hugged Onion. Wise choice. Onion hugged and held Onion tightly. He closed his eyes, but his divine body was emitting violent and unstable divine power fluctuations. "Brother, come home with me to the Leviathan Sea. Our people are waiting for us. I remembered the days when we played together as children. Let's go back in time, okay?" Onion murmured softly. "You?" Onion's expression changed drastically. He frantically tried to break free from Onion's embrace, but Onion was hugging him too tightly. He couldn't break free at all. "Brother, why did you betray the Leviathans?" We Leviathans only have leaders who died in battle, but we have never had a leader who surrendered. No, no, no. Get the hell out of my way. Onion roared crazily, and even attacked Oman's divine body with all his might. However, Onion already had the intention to perish together. Why would he care about his divine body? He only hugged Onion tightly and activated his divine body to self-destruct. The surrounding Master God Tears and God Spirits had already sensed that something was wrong and began to flee crazily. Onion had died in the self-destruction, accompanied by an earth-shattering bang. Even though Onion had also died from self-destruction, he already had a chance to revive because he was already a citizen of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Therefore, he immediately revived after he died. However, Onion, who had revived, looked confused and at a loss. Chapter 1394. Meeting of Will-Level Existences. Onion looked blankly at the aftermath of the explosion around him. Why? In the face of His Majesty's strength, the army we lead is powerless to resist. Won't we be courting death if we insist on going against His Majesty? And we will be exterminated by the Leviathans. Why didn't Onion surrender, Your Majesty? He knows that if he submits to His Majesty, not only can his life be spared, he can also prevent the extermination of the Leviathan race. He might even bring the Leviathan race to an unprecedented peak. Could it be for the sake of that pitiful racial dignity? But the Leviathans took the initiative to attack His Majesty, and the others were the ones who started the war. Onion was very puzzled. In the end, he could only attribute Onion's self-destruction to his pitiful racial pride. His expression turned cold as he muttered coldly to himself, "My foolish brother. Your death has no meaning other than to make you look tragic. Our race will become even weaker because of your death." Then, he didn't think too much about it. He led the Master God Tears, who had surrendered and incite defection, to destroy the remaining four-race alliance army that was still stubbornly resisting. When it was almost evening, the remaining soldiers and God Spirits of the four allied forces, who were still resisting, were all destroyed by the joint encirclement of the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and the soldiers of the incite defection. The Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom obtained a huge victory. The myriad races that had been watching this scene silently realized something the moment the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom won. That was the change in the sky. That was the combined army of four high-level bloodline races. There was no lack of Master God Tier existences. It was easily destroyed by a Lord faction that had just established a divine kingdom in less than a day. It was no exaggeration to say that this strength was impossible for any other high-level bloodline race. Only the three top bloodline races with a long history, the original Spirit race, the Shepherd's God race, and the Chaos Gods race, could do it. And now, there was another Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, which meant, from henceforth, the top races and factions in the myriad worlds were no longer limited to the original Spirit race, the Shepherd's God race, and the Chaos Gods race. The humans were led by the common people's regal. The human race was also the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. After successfully scaring away the three top bloodline races and defeating the alliance army of the four races, they had officially become the unquestionable fourth pole of the myriad worlds. Even this fourth place was only in terms of time. In terms of strength, it was possible to be in the top 3, or even the top 2. For a moment, all the races in the world began to have their own thoughts. This was one of the top 3 factions in the myriad worlds, wanting to join them, or be on good terms. Or could it be that at this moment, he wanted to show his loyalty to the original Spirit race, the Chaos Gods race, and the Shepherd's God race, and completely join the crusade against the human race? These were all things that the 10,000 races needed to consider. At the same time, Zhou Feit and Zhou Wu were already sitting comfortably in the war conference room, holding today's war conclusion meeting with the generals. The expressions of the generals and God Spirits were relaxed. Now that the top 3 races had been scared away, the remaining high-level bloodline races had been easily eliminated by him. In this active universe, their Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom could be said to be officially invincible. Next, they only needed to subdue the remaining lords of all races step by step. Their Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom would definitely be the champion of this activity. There would definitely be no accidents. Even though this 30-day race leader event has only started for 7 days, it has actually ended. Zhou Feit thought to himself as he listened to the discussion between the generals and the god spirits. It's much faster than the previous activities. He was very emotional. What did this mean? This meant that his faction was developing too quickly. It was so fast that even the event version could not restrict him, so much so that he could do whatever he wanted. In the past few events, when he was confident that he could completely take first place, it was already the later stages of the event. The other lords of the myriad races still had competition back then, but they did have a chance to fight for the first place in the event. And this time, they really had no chance of winning at all. What to do? The difference was too great. It was so big that even the race behind them wanted to increase the difficulty for themselves. But they could not stop themselves from obtaining first place. I should be free for the next few days. A smile appeared on Zhou Feit's face. How long had it been since he had rested? Ever since the activities of the myriad races began. He had to rest well this time. As for the matter of the active universe, he would leave it to Bai Yun and the other worship master gods to handle. There was a high chance that there would be no accidents. If an accident still happened under such circumstances, they still had them, Zhou's clones, to back them up. If even Zhou's clone could not deal with it, there was a high chance that his main body would not be able to do anything either. When the time came, he could only complain to the Supreme Will. However, that kind of situation was almost impossible. At the same time, just as Zhou Feit and the others planned to rest well, there was a meeting about him in the Supreme Domain. In the Supreme Domain, a huge circular eye condensed from endless pure white light was quietly waiting in this space. It was the symbol of the Supreme Will, Supreme Eye. With the Supreme Eye present, it basically meant that the Supreme Will had personally arrived. At this moment, a black-purple light appeared out of thin air in the Supreme Domain and condensed into a black-purple scepter that emitted faint black-purple flames. Abyss Scepter. His appearance basically meant that the Abyss Will was present. Right on the heels of that, 9 different colored lights appeared out of thin air in the Supreme Domain and quickly condensed into a 9-colored divine deer. This 9-colored divine deer was the incarnation of the will of the immortal world. In the next second, another beam of netherworld light appeared out of thin air in the Supreme Domain, and 6 halos emitting 6 colors appeared out of thin air. This was the embodiment of the will of the netherworld, 6 paths of reincarnation. Right on the heels of that, another shadow appeared from the void and casually transformed into a shadow sun. If Zhou was present, he would definitely find it inexplicably familiar. This was because he came from the world of Shadow's will. They gathered together. Even though they were talking to each other, most of their gazes were focused on the Supreme Eye. Sir, why did you call us over this time? I don't know, Sither. I've been in seclusion for more than 350 million years. Me too, but it should be something big. The last time we summoned so many will-level existences, I remember it was when the Crimson Overlord invaded the Supreme World on a large scale. I wonder what kind of crisis it is this time. I hope it's not a crisis of the same level as last time. I remember that the Space Will and the Sacred Martial Will died last time. I'm considered weak among willpower-level existences. I was lucky enough to survive last time. If it happens again this time, I reckon it'll be very difficult for me to have that kind of luck again. The will-level existences discussed spiritedly, all of them discussing the purpose of the Supreme Will summoning them here. Chapter 1395. Granting the Lord of all Races seat in advance? However, they had not paid attention to the outside world for too long after all. Most will-level existences did not know why the Supreme Will had summoned them. In the end, they looked at the will of the Netherworld. In terms of being well-informed, the will of the Netherworld was the best in the myriad worlds. Who asked him to control a large number of undead from all over the world. These undead from the myriad worlds were the best information channel for the will of the Netherworld. The will of the Netherworld saw the other will-level existences looking at him. A calm voice appeared in the 6 paths of reincarnation. It's probably about the Lord of all races. Lord of all races? The will of the mountain that controlled the mountains of the various worlds was low. It was puzzled and surprised. I've been asleep for so long. Why haven't I chosen? The matter of the Lord of all races has really dragged on for a long time. I thought that after I woke up, the Lord of all races would be chosen. For a Lord of all races to use so much energy and time, I wonder if it's worth it. The will-level existences were a little surprised and also speechless. They had heard about the Lord of all races from the Supreme Will a long time ago. At that time, the war between the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord had just begun. However, what they did not expect was that after so long, the position of the Lord of all races had yet to be settled. However, at the same time, many will-level existences had other thoughts. Since the Supreme Will had not made up its mind after so long, he might as well interfere. The position of the Lord of all races was of great significance. He would command all the races and factions in the world, and become the commander of all races. He would fight against foreign enemies with the Supreme Will. This power and identity were almost equivalent to the personal disciple of the Supreme Will. In the future, he would almost 100% reserve a spot for a will-level existence. In the future, when the Supreme Will advanced to a higher level and left this real world, the Lord of all races might be the next successor to replace the Supreme Will. If they could be on good terms with a will-level existence at this moment, or even take the Lord of all races under their wing, wouldn't what the Lord of all races had be equivalent to what he had? At the thought of this, many willpower level existences' thoughts floated. At this moment, the Supreme I, which had been in a closed state, slowly opened its eyes. At this moment, not only did all will-level existences see the other party open his eyes in the Supreme Domain, but even in the depths of their will, the image of the Supreme Will slowly opening its eyes appeared. What terrifying willpower! The strength of the Supreme Will seems to have increased a lot. How far has he surpassed the Supreme Will realm? The will-level existences were shocked as they said respectfully. The Supreme Will hummed softly. I summoned you here this time because there are 3 things I want you to discuss with me. The first thing is related to the Lord of all races. I'll tell you roughly what happened first. After the Supreme Will finished speaking, he told the 20 willpower level existences present about all the lords of all races. Among them, he deliberately increased the strength and power of the Lord of the Blazing Sun, which far exceeded that of the other lords of the myriad races. He even had a cliff-like lead. Even the races and factions behind the lords of the myriad races could not do anything to the Lord of the Blazing Sun, and were even destroyed by him. After the will-level existences heard this, they could not help but be shocked. There was actually such a genius in the myriad worlds. He had just become the Lord of all races not long ago, but he already had such terrifying strength and faction. He spoke frankly. When they were at the same level as Zhou, they were far inferior to him. The Supreme Will had found a good successor. Many will-level existences thought. At this moment, the Supreme Will spoke again. As you can see, the Lord of the Blazing Sun's strength has already far exceeded the other lords of all races. Letting the other party compete with the lords of the other races is really bullying the other lords. Therefore, I've decided to give the position of the Lord of all races to him in advance. But it's too early now. The Lord of the Blazing Sun's true strength hasn't become a Master God tier yet. It's not appropriate to give him the position of the Lord of all races. So I'm having a hard time deciding. What do you think? Tell me what you think. I'll take your opinions into consideration and make the final decision. All the will-level existences were not fools. They immediately understood the Supreme Will's thoughts. The Supreme Will undoubtedly admired this Lord of the Blazing Sun. However, the Supreme Will did not want to disrupt its plan and make the other party the Lord of all races too early. However, the activities of the lords of the myriad races were meaningless to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. If it continued, Chun would let the other lords of the myriad races suffer and reward the Lord of the Blazing Sun. It could not achieve the goal of training at all. To put it simply, it was just that the Lord of the Blazing Sun's strength was enough. It was even far beyond the mark. However, the tempering and events he had experienced were not enough. That was why the Supreme Will was a little hesitant about whether to give him the position of Lord of all races. I think so. Abyss Will smiled and said, the Lord of the Blazing Sun is a good junior. If we don't let him sit in the position that he should be in just because we don't have enough experience, it's a waste of such talents and our time. Lord Supreme Will, grant the position of Lord of all races to him. The war between us and the Illusionist clan is getting more and more frequent. It's time for a leader to lead the god spirits of all races to counterattack the Illusionist clan and protect our supreme great cosmos. My lord, the will of the immortal world said, I think it's inappropriate to give the other party the position of the Lord of all races now. Even though the Lord of the Blazing Sun is outstanding, he has only descended to the supreme continent for a short period of time. He has still experienced strength. His current combat strength is still a little weak. At the very least, he has to have supreme god realm combat strength before he's suitable to be the Lord of all races and bear the responsibility of the Lord of all races. At the same time, he can convince all the races. At this point, he suddenly changed the topic. However, Your Excellency, you're right. The ordinary activities of the lords of the myriad races are indeed meaningless to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. If we continue to participate, we won't be able to gain enough experience. I have an idea. Why don't we give the Lord of the Blazing Sun the qualifications to be a candidate for the Lord of all races, so that he can leave the Lord of all races competition and come into contact with higher-level battles. This way, not only can the Lord of the Blazing Sun have a suitable identity, but he can also come to a stage that is truly suitable for he. At the same time, he can be prepared for the future struggle with the Illusionist clan. What do you think, my lord? Chapter 1396. The betrayal of the netherworlds. Will all the will-level existences were discussing if they should give the position of the Lord of all races to Zhou, and they were discussing it very seriously. The position of the Lord of all races was too special. Once someone had the position of the Lord of all races, no matter how weak the other party was, their status would instantly increase to the same level as them. Coupled with the fact that the Lord of all races could command the army of the myriad races, it seemed that his actual authority far exceeded that of the will-level existences present. This was because will-level existences were too extraordinary. In fact, they did not develop any overly powerful factions in the myriad worlds. The Supreme Will would not give in either. Their own strength was the confidence of the strongest faction, so they did not need to develop any faction after all. Which faction in the myriad worlds would not dare to listen to them once a will-level existence spoke? And the power in the hands of this Lord of all races was enough to compete with them. As long as they did not die in the future, there was a high chance that they would become will-level existences with the help of the Supreme Will, and become existences on the same level as them. The Supreme World was only so big, and there were only so many willpower-level existences. With an additional willpower-level existence, they would more or less touch the interests of all willpower-level existences, so they could not help but be serious. After a while, the Supreme Will combined the opinions of most will-level existences, and made a major decision. They would officially end the Lord of all races competition, and give the other party the qualifications to be a reserve member. However, because the Lord of the Blazing Sun's strength was temporarily insufficient, the Supreme Will decided to temporarily send the Supreme Will Reserve, Lord of the Blazing Sun, to the ultimate void battlefield outside the Supreme Great Cosmos, to fight the alternate void race. If there was a major performance in the war with the void race, the Supreme Will would also receive a huge reward. At the same time, it would increase the authority of the Lord of the Blazing Sun as a reserve member, allowing the Lord of the Blazing Sun to be closer to the true status of the Lord of all races. If the Lord of the Blazing Sun's physical strength broke through to the Master God tier level, he could skip this process and directly become the Lord of all races. Next, I'll talk about the second thing. Our Supreme Great Cosmos has a junior called Regal Soul Heaven. He has already been revived. Moreover, after experiencing the life and death calamity, He has officially touched the threshold of the Supreme Will realm. Now that the Yellow River has fallen, and the will of the Yellow River has died, the Yellow River realm is ownerless. Regal Soul Heaven has once taken over the matter of reincarnation, and is familiar with most of the matters of Yellow River. So am prepared to hand over the matter of taking back the Yellow River region to him. If the other party can take back the Netherworld realm, the position of the Lord of the Yellow River will belong to him. If we can't do it, well, send other existences to attack. Do you have any objections? The Supreme Will asked. No objections. Let's do it. I've seen Regal Soul Heaven before. This top Supreme God realm is indeed suitable to take over the Yellow River region. Most will-level existences echoed. The other will-level existences did not agree, but they did not object. Most will-level existences were aloof from worldly matters. They only focused on the improvement of their will, and rarely cared about the matters of the outside world. The Yellow River region was a place that the undead of the heavens had to pass through. Not only were there many things to do, but it was also troublesome. Most will-level existences were unwilling to waste time interfering. Only a will-level existence remained silent for a long time before saying, Lord, the Yellow River concerns the peace of the myriad worlds. Why should we hand such an important task to a junior who hasn't reached the willpower level? I can also take back the Yellow River. The person who spoke was the will of the Netherworld. Even though Regal Soul Heaven has yet to become a will-level existence, he's not far from it. The other party only needs one tempering, and there's a high chance that he will advance to a will-level existence. This mission to take back the Yellow River realm can be used by him to sharpen himself. In the future, we can add a new will-level existence to our supreme great cosmos. As for why I didn't choose you, this is also the third thing I'm about to say. The Supreme Will's tone suddenly turned cold. Will of the Netherworld, Kaiser. You deliberately opened the door to the Yellow River, and let the illusionist clan go to the Yellow River, causing the Yellow River region to fall, and the will of the Yellow River to die. The myriad worlds are in chaos because of this. Do you know your crime? As soon as he said this, all the will-level existences looked at the Netherworld's will, Kaiser, in shock. The will of the Netherworld? Kaiser, how dare you betray us like this? Kaiser, did you really do it? The High Will can't be wrong, Kaiser. You've disappointed us. Kaiser, how much did the illusionist clan give you to make you betray us? Therefore, the will-level existences scolded Kaiser angrily. Facing the angry rebuke of the will-level existences, Kaiser did not refute. Instead, he sighed faintly and asked in confusion, Supreme Will, how did I expose myself? I thought that I hid myself flawlessly. You shouldn't have sensed my betrayal. The will of Yellow River regards you as his biological brother. He has long sensed your abnormality, but he's not sure what happened to you. Faced with the doubts of the Netherworld's will, the Supreme Will said calmly, I see. It was my little sister who secretly told you about my changes. Hehe, there's indeed no relationship between life forms between will-level existences. The Netherworld's will chuckled. No, the will of Yellow River has never told me about your changes. The Supreme Will said in a deep voice. However, you should know that your sister has the habit of writing in her diary. He wrote all his doubts about you in his diary. He thought that you were too tired from dealing with the reincarnation of a large number of undead every day, so there were some changes in your body. He is worried for you. However, he probably didn't expect it either. His favorite brother actually personally delivered the butcher's knife that killed him to his enemies and silently sent the enemy behind him. I sent the will of the Shadow World to the Yellow River region to search for clues about the fall of the Yellow River, and the remains of the will of the Yellow River after the Yellow River region fell. Only then did I find this diary of the will of the Yellow River, and learn of this matter. Kaiser, you disappoint me, the Supreme Will said. Kaiser fell silent and smiled. Since I did this, I've never regretted it. I originally wanted to pull the will of Yellow River to join me, but he is too stubborn and too loyal to the Supreme Will, so one gave up on this idea. What a pity, Kaiser said regretfully. It was unknown if he was pitying the death of the Yellow River's will, or if he was pitying that he did not pull the yellow river's will into his camp. Kaiser! At this moment, a furious roar sounded. Then a golden figure appeared. It was Regal Soul Heaven, who had just revived. Chapter 1397. Illusionary Legendary Tear Seal. Absolutely real. He had been hiding nearby, and did not appear for the meeting. He held a golden soul needle, and charged at Kaiser angrily. The will of Yellow River actually died because of you. I must kill you. I knew you were around. However, you're just a Supreme God Realm expert. How dare you attack me? Should I praise you for being brave and peerless? Or should I say that you don't know what's good for you? Kaiser said calmly. Then the 6 paths of reincarnation that he was in emitted 6-colored divine light. At the same time, it emitted a shocking suction force, wanting to suck Regal Soul Heaven into the 6 paths of reincarnation and kill him in one go. However, at this moment, the Supreme Eye formed by the Supreme Will suddenly flashed with holy light. In the next second, the 6-colored divine light emitted by Kaiser seemed to have suddenly lost power and disappeared, leaving only an ancient and dilapidated 6 paths of reincarnation divine artifact. This was also Kaiser's main body, which was a universal race divine artifact, the 6 paths of reincarnation. That was because his main body was too powerful, coupled with his role of maintaining the balance between the undead and life forms in the myriad worlds. It was enough to be ranked in the top 3 among all races' divine artifacts. It was precisely because of this that once he became a will-level existence, his strength could be ranked in the top 3 among all will-level existences. However, such an existence was actually so weak in front of the Supreme Will. In just an instant, it was stripped of everything, and was even forced to reveal its true form. It was almost equivalent to the scene in novels, where a demon was beaten back to its original form by an immortal. In the next moment, Regal Soul Heaven's supreme divine artifact, the soul-extinguishing golden needle, stabbed fiercely into the main body of the 6 paths of reincarnation. There was a click. A crack appeared on the animal Tao wheel in the 6 paths of reincarnation. When the will-level existences saw this scene, they raised their eyebrows slightly and subconsciously looked at the Supreme Will. With Regal Soul Heaven's strength, even if he had already touched the threshold of a Supreme Will, logically speaking, it was impossible for he to hurt the main body of the 6 paths of reincarnation divine artifact. However, he had done it. It was obvious that the Supreme Will was secretly assisting. The Supreme Will really values this junior, they thought to themselves. On the other side, I'll beat you to death, you bastard. Regal Soul Heaven gritted his teeth as he looked at the cracked animal Tao wheel. Then he went to attack the Heavenly God path. The Heavenly God Tao was the core of the 6 paths of reincarnation divine artifact. As long as the Heavenly God Tao was shattering, Kaiser would definitely die. The Supreme Will watched coldly. With his power, even if the 6 paths of reincarnation completely shattered, he could create another one without worrying about the reincarnation of the myriad worlds. However, the traitor must die. At this moment, an accident happened. An illusory purple seal suddenly appeared on the Heavenly Tao wheel. There were words written in the illusory purple seal that none of the will-level existences present recognized. But at a glance, they could understand the meaning. Illusionary Legendary. As soon as this illusory purple seal appeared, it blocked Regal Soul Heaven's attack. No matter how Regal Soul Heaven continued to attack, it could not do anything to the 6 paths of reincarnation divine artifact. It's the illusionary legendary tear seal? It's the holy relic of the illusionary race. It's on the will of the Netherworld. No wonder the will of the Netherworld sided with the illusionist clan. It turns out that they obtained such a sacred object. Even the illusionist clan doesn't have many illusionary legendary tear seals. They're actually willing to give them to the will of the Netherworld. It seems like the illusionist clan has really invested a lot to take down our supreme great cosmos. The will-level existences looked at the illusionary legendary tear seal above Kaiser's head with burning expressions. To will-level existences like them, this represented the hope of transcending. Unexpectedly, Kaiser got it first. Even the Supreme Will stared at the illusionary legendary tear seal. No one knew what the Supreme Will was thinking. Do you understand why I joined the illusionist clan now? At this moment, the Netherworld's will that had not spoken for a long time finally spoke. His tone was carefree, conceited, and high and mighty. He said to the will-level existences, "That's because I already have the illusionary legendary tier seal. With this illusionary legendary tier seal, I can transcend this world and come into contact with absolute reality. And you, the Netherworld's will, laughed loudly. Continue to indulge in your illusions. In order to pursue the so-called absolute truth, you're willing to be a dog for the illusionist clan?" The Supreme Will said. How could it be so easy to transcend? Even though the illusionary legendary tier seal could indeed bring a will-level existence to transcend, there was a price. The price was, be a dog to the supreme existence of the illusionary world. Unless the supreme existence in the illusionary world let go, they could only submit to the supreme existence in the illusionary world for the rest of their lives. There's no chance of a comeback. I would rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. This was unacceptable to many will-level existences, but the will of the Netherworld was willing to accept it. He could only say that the other party was too crazy for the sake of transcending. Be a lapdog. The will of the Netherworld said, I'm completely tired of looking at this world through the perspective of those undead. I want to see the scenery of another world. The will-level existences were silent. This reason sounded ridiculous. She was willing to abandon everything just to see the scenery, and even be a dog. Many life forms would probably find this difficult to understand. However, in the hearts of these will-level existences, they understood this feeling. That was because they were too powerful. They were so powerful that they could see the entire supreme world in less than 1,000 years. After reading it, they did not have any new curiosity, and naturally wanted to go outside to take a look. This was a common occurrence for life forms. No one could avoid it. There were two ways to see the outside world, which was to transcend the supreme world and go to the world of the illusionist clan. The first was naturally the normal cultivation will. When his will reached the transcendence realm above the supreme will realm, he could take the initiative to escape the supreme great cosmos and head to the world of the illusionist clan. The second was like the will of the Netherworld, relying on external objects to transcend. However, such external transcendence techniques often had a huge price to pay. They could easily sell themselves, or even lose most of their lives. Therefore, most will-level existences could not accept the second method, and could only work hard on the first method. From the looks of it, it was because the will of the Netherworld could not help but feel bored and lonely. It accepted the temptation of the illusionist clan, and chose the second method of transcendence. At this moment, a will-level existence felt pity. Some will-level existences were envious. There were will-level existences who looked down on him. A will-level existence was indifferent. Everyone had their own attitudes. Why don't you leave immediately? The Supreme Will asked. With this illusionary legendary tier seal, the Supreme Will knew that even he could not stop the other party from leaving. That was because that was the rule of another world. He couldn't interfere. With the illusionary legendary tier seal, I can leave whenever one want. Therefore, I want to stay for a while longer and see this world. I just didn't expect to be discovered so quickly. The Netherworld's will sighed. He probably wants to contribute more to the illusionist clan, right? The Supreme Will said coldly. The Netherworld's will smiled, and did not deny it. Goodbye, Supreme Will. Maybe we'll meet again in the illusionary world. With that, the Netherworld's will disappeared. Only the silent wills were left. In the blazing sun divine capital, Zhou was comprehending the Lord's law in the world of samsara, and strived to advance to true God tier advance grade, as soon as possible. At this moment, he sensed something and opened his eyes. Then, he saw lines of golden words appear in front of him. Chapter 1398. Reserve Army of the Supreme Lord, Lord of 10,000 Evils. Zhou looked at the words that suddenly appeared in front of him in shock. After reading them, he revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. At the same time, all the lords of the myriad races and factions in the myriad world saw similar words. The Lord of all races competition has no meaning for the Lord of the blazing sun, for training in view of the fact that he already has unparalleled strength among all the lords of all races. The success rate of the other lords continuing to fight for the lord of all races is almost zero. After a collective discussion between the supreme will and the existence of the will, we have made the following decision. First, end the Lord of all races event in advance. All the surviving lords will obtain a treasure chest exclusive to the Lord of all races. Second, due to the serious situation in the ultimate void battlefield, the alternate void race, we will fight against the alternate void race with the 10,000 evil army and protect the supreme great cosmos. Third, you can send your god spirits to join the Lord of the Blazing Sun and head to the ultimate void battlefield to fight against the alternate void race as our reserve army. You can exchange for the rewards you want from the Supreme God Realm Monument, as long as the god spirits of the myriad races, who join the Lord of the Blazing Sun, contribute to the battle against the alternate void race. You have 3 days to prepare for this trip to the ultimate void battlefield. 3 days later, the Lord of the Blazing Sun needs to immediately lead the combat god spirits under his command to the ultimate void battlefield to resist the alternate void race. There can't be any mistakes. All the lords and factions of the races were stunned when they saw this announcement. What is going on? The first stage of the Lord of the Races activity hasn't ended yet, but the entire Lord of all races activity has ended? You have already chosen the Lord of all races? Then what's the point of our previous efforts? Oh, it is the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Then it is fine. It was unknown who leaked the news of the battle that ended. Almost all the lords and the races behind them knew that the mortal lord was the common people's regal. What shocked them the most was not this news, but the next news. After the common people's regal army monopolized the people of foreign races, he actually defeated the armies of all the high-level bloodline races and forcefully scared away the armies of the original spirit race, the shepherd's god race, and the chaos god's race. He had officially become the fourth extreme existence of the myriad races. The lords of the myriad races knew the difference between themselves and the Lord of the Blazing Sun faced with such information. If the Lord of the Blazing Sun became the Lord of all races reserve, then they were fully convinced. Perhaps it was because the Lord of the Blazing Sun's reputation for being invincible was too great, but the Lord of all races quickly accepted this fact. However, they thought of something, and a strange smile appeared on their faces. Now that the Lord of the Blazing Sun had successfully obtained the qualifications to be a reserve army of the Lord of all races, who knew what the 3 top bloodline races would think? They would probably be exasperated, right? The 3 top bloodline races were indeed a little exasperated. They did not expect this news to come so suddenly. They were still thinking about how to counterattack the common people's regal in the future when they returned back to their camps. This news of the Lord of the Blazing Sun becoming the reserve army came. As for the races and factions that had put in so much effort for the Lord of all races contest, not only did they no longer have the right to fight for the Lord of all races, they even had to listen to this Lord of all races reserve in the future. The sudden appearance of a leader was naturally unacceptable to the 3 high and mighty races. However, they could not refuse and could only accept it. Then, their attention quickly landed on the ultimate void battlefield mentioned in the announcement. 10,000 evil army. A solemn and even fearful expression appeared on the face of the original Master God Tier. He said in a low voice, "I haven't heard this name for a long time." At the same time, a text notification that only belonged to him, the Lord of all races, appeared in front of Zhou. Honorable Lord of all races reserve, Lord of the Blazing Sun, you now have the right to choose elites from all the races in the world and form a supreme alliance army that belongs to you. You can choose at most 100 million god spirits, 100,000 true god tiers, and 100 supremacy gods from the various races to be members of your supreme alliance army. You have activated the ultimate void battlefield function. 3 days later, you can use this function to lead your divine spirit army to the ultimate void battlefield and fight the alternate void race. Supreme Will notification. The leader currently in charge of managing the ultimate void battlefield is the Lord of all evils from the abyss. As the third reserve of the Lord of all races, the Lord of all evils also has the right to compete for the position of the Lord of all races. You need to compete with the Lord of all evils. Only then can you increase your ranking as the reserve of the Lord of all races and be closer to the position of the Lord of all races. Zhou looked at the long string of notifications and frowned slightly. There was too much information behind these text notifications. Am not the only Lord of all races reserve? Zhou asked the question he was most concerned about. Supreme will notification. Among the lords of all races, you are the only Lord of all races reserve. However, before the Lord of all races competition, the Supreme Will had conducted a selection among the local lords of the High Continent and finally selected 3 lords of all races reserves. Currently, these 3 Lord of all races reserves are carrying out their duties under the Supreme Will. They no longer appear often in the myriad worlds. So it's the reserve force of the Lord of all races, selected from the local lords. Zhou came to a realization. Before the Lord of all races competition, the Supreme Will had originally intended to choose a candidate for the Lord of all races from the local Lord of all races. However, the Supreme Will was ultimately dissatisfied with the local lords. That was why they started the Lord of all races contest, causing Zhou and the others to descend on the High Continent. It seems that even though the Supreme Will is dissatisfied with the local lords, he still left behind 3 that he likes. And am the 4th person the Supreme Will likes? Zhou was speechless. Then, his expression became serious again. If nothing went wrong, the future Lord of all races should have been selected from the reserves of the 4 lords of all races. His expression turned solemn. It seemed that although he had ended the Lord of all races competition by himself, the competition for the Lord of all races was not over yet. Instead, it had entered a new level. However, Zhou was not afraid. Instead, he was eager to try. This was because he felt that only stronger enemies could make him stronger. Too weak an enemy was not beneficial to his growth. What's the background of this 10,000 evil army and the Lord of 10,000 evils? Zhou asked again. This time, there were no new text notifications. Zhou did not give up and took out the Bodhi Supreme to ask. In the end, Bodhi Supreme said that it could not divulge either. It only told Zhou that he would know when you arrived at the ultimate void battlefield. Isn't that stating the F*King obvious? Zhou cursed and was speechless. Chapter 1399. The Supreme God Realm Monument. Translator, Ada Studios 3 days. There's plenty of time. Zhou thought to himself. Then, he opened the Ultimate Void Battlefield channel that he had recently obtained. The channel has the following functions. 10,000 Races Battle Channel, Ultimate Void Battlefield Teleportation Function, Supreme God Realm Monument, Comrade Communication, Ultimate Void Battlefield Map. Zhou opened a few functions that interested him. First of all, the All Races Combat Channel function was a chat channel formed by gods from all races. God spirits could chat here, or they could pull out a separate sub-channel for a battle meeting. It was not much different from the few channels that Zhou had joined. The only difference that was worth paying attention to was that only god spirits were allowed to enter the All Races Combat channel. Creatures below the god spirits were not qualified to enter the All Races Combat channel. The Ultimate Void Battleground was a battlefield that only god spirits could enter after all. Those who were not god spirits did not even have the right to enter and take a look. That was because one look at it would cause an explosion. It was really explosive. As for the Ultimate Void Battleground teleportation function, as the name suggested, it was a function with teleportation abilities. As for the Ultimate Void Battleground teleportation function, as the name suggested, it was a function with teleportation abilities. In addition, on the Ultimate Void Battlefield, gods with a certain level of leadership authority could also gather the god spirits under their command to their side and teleport to the designated battlefield area. For example, as a reserve member of the Lord of all races, Zhou could gather the god spirits under him and teleport them to the Ultimate Void Battlefield together. Even if a god spirit got lost on the Ultimate Void Battlefield, He wouldn't be afraid because he could teleport the lost god spirit to his side with a single thought. It was a very practical function. As for the Supreme God Realm Monument, it was an extremely important function. It was equivalent to a military merit exchange shop and a mission distribution point. Not only were there all kinds of battlefield missions, moreover, in the Ultimate Void Battleground, the military merits obtained by killing enemies, completing missions, and other methods could be exchanged for various treasures here. Zhou took a look and immediately raised his eyebrows slightly. This was because the treasures in the Supreme God Realm Monument were at least low-tier deity level elementary grade. The highest level even had Supreme Divine Artifacts and Race Divine Artifacts. The Supreme Divine Artifact, Zhou didn't care. This was because after obtaining the Heavenly Luck Di Huang, he could also obtain a large number of Supreme God Realm Divine Artifacts by himself. However, the Racial Divine Artifact could not be dropped. He opened the interface of the Race's Divine Artifact and checked the Human Race's Divine Artifact, and there were quite a few of them. Race Divine Artifact, Creation Immortal Furnace. Top Race Divine Artifact. Human life forms sit cross-legged in the Creation Immortal Furnace and are refined with the Chi of creation. There is a high chance that they will sublimate the congenital spiritual root they have, allowing human life forms, who already have the aptitude to cultivate immortality, to have higher talent in cultivation. If this human life form doesn't have the spiritual root, he will definitely be able to create a congenital spiritual root that is most suitable for his physique, giving him the aptitude to cultivate immortality. Required military merits. 10 million military merits. 1 Supreme God Realm Mission Medal. Race Divine Artifact. Dao Destroying Divine Artifact. Top Race Divine Artifact or Race Divine Artifact BOM with the human race. It is engraved with the Supreme God Realm Legacy, the Legacy of Destruction. Required military merits. 2 million military merits. 5 Supreme God Realm Mission Medals. Race Divine Artifact. 5 Element Sacred Heart Banner. High-level Race Divine Artifact. Place it in the territory of the human race. It can increase the willpower of human life forms and increase the probability of being promoted to Master God. Required military merits. 30 million military merits. 5 Master God Mission Medals. Race Divine Artifact. Sky Barrier Umbrella. High-level Race Divine Artifact conceals the aura of fate of yourself and your subordinates to prevent other god spirits from spying on you. Even the Supreme God Realm can't spy on your own fate. Required military merit. 5 million military merit. 3 Master God Mission Medals. They're all good stuff. Zhou's eyes lit up. It was just that the price was a little high. He shook his head slightly. According to the price on it, if one wanted to buy a top-notch Master God tier divine artifact, they would probably have to personally do a few missions before they could obtain one. If a Master God tier wanted to obtain it, who knew how much time and effort it would take to obtain it? He did not think too much about it for the time being. Instead, he opened the General Purpose Race Divine Artifact Exchange option. Then, he also discovered that there were more General Purpose Race Divine Artifacts with good effects. However, most of them were more expensive. They were at least 50% more expensive than divine artifacts of the same level. This was easy to understand. A universal race divine artifact could be effective on all races in the myriad worlds after all. Especially for lords like Zhou, who had various races and people under their command, its effects could also be maximized. The exclusive race divine artifact of the human race could only have an effect on the human race. Even though most of Zhou's subordinates were human subjects, there would more or less be some limitations. He thought for a while and made a decision. When he went to the Ultimate Void Battleground in 3 days, if he could obtain enough mission medals and military merits, he would mainly exchange for the divine artifacts of the human race. Next, he would exchange for general-purpose racial divine artifacts. Most of the soldiers under him were humans. They were all recruited from the combat items of the Scarlet Brood Mother after all. Therefore, the exclusive race divine artifact of the human race was the greatest improvement for him. Even though the universal race divine artifact covered a larger area, The actual increase was inferior to the exclusive race divine artifact of the human race. Then, he looked at the other functions. Comrade communication, needless to say, it was equivalent to the friend function of a normal channel. As for the ultimate void battlefield map, it was currently pitch black. This was because he had yet to explore the ultimate void battlefield. Then, he roughly understood the other functions before closing the function page. Then, he opened the battle channel of all races and sent a message. Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. God Lord Blazing Sun, Lord of all races, reserve this Emperor is preparing to form the Supreme Alliance Army and head to the ultimate void battleground. All races are preparing to send out 50 million god spirits, 90,000 true gods, and 900 supremacies. Then, report to this Emperor that in 3 days, this Emperor will lead you to the ultimate void battleground. Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. God Lord Blazing Sun, Lord of all races, reserve at original spirit race. Master God Origin, Originy. 111 Leave the matter of collating the statistics to you. Show me when you are done. Smiley face. The Supreme Will had given him 100 million god spirits, 100,000 true god tiers, and 100 master gods to join the Supreme Alliance. In fact, if he was a little greedy, Zhou could have used all these spots on these god spirits of all races. This way, he could directly freeload so many god spirits, true gods, and master gods. Even though this Supreme Alliance army was called an allied army, it was actually almost equivalent to his private army after all. According to the rules left behind by the Supreme Will, once they joined, they could only be loyal to the Lord of all races reserve. Even the race they were from before they joined the army could not control the gods who joined the Supreme Alliance army. This was also the greatest benefit of being a reserve member of the Lord of all races. There were no other criterias. However, Zhou thought that the ultimate void battleground was a good place to train his soldiers. In addition, his own people were useful, and the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom needed his own people to continue expanding their territory on the high continent to increase the level of the Divine Kingdom. Therefore, he let his god spirits occupy only 50 million god spirits, 10,000 true god tiers, and 10 supremacy gods. The remaining god spirits of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom should stay in the high continent and conquer the territories of the high continent and the myriad worlds. Both paths were very important. Chapter 1400, Supreme Title, Lord of all races reserve. As for the gods in the battle channel, especially those who had not entered the ultimate void battleground, they immediately became extremely excited when they saw Zhou's message. The ultimate void battleground was dangerous. Even Supreme God Realm experts might die if they were not careful. However, this place also contained endless opportunities. For example, the Supreme God Realm Monument was one of the greatest opportunities. For Zhou, who had seen countless treasures, to covet the items exchanged in the Supreme God Realm Monument, it was obvious how precious the items inside were. In addition, there were also extremely rare Supreme God Realm treasures in the outside world, growing in the ultimate void battleground. There were even treasures that strengthened the power of will and transformed the power of will. In addition, there were also chaos divine artifacts nurtured by the heavens and the earth here. Such chaos divine artifacts nurtured by the heavens and the earth were often much more effective than divine artifacts created postnatal. There were also many other opportunities. All of this was enough to attract the god spirits from the outside world to come here and fight. Therefore, after seeing Zhou's words, almost all of them wanted to come over and join him. As for becoming someone's subordinate, none of that mattered. It was fine as long as he became stronger. As god spirits, they had long understood that strength was more important than anything else. Is he just a dog? As long as he could become stronger, it would not be a problem for him to be a grandson. However, Zhou had already left. They could only do as he said, find the original Master God Origin, and add him as a friend. Then, they would send their information concisely, and explain that they wanted a spot in the Supreme Allied Forces. When the Origin Master God saw this scene, he couldn't help but grit his teeth. He felt a deep sense of humiliation. Yes, humiliation. He had previously joined forces with other high-level bloodline races and top-notch bloodline races to deal with Zhou together in an attempt to destroy and obtain the race's divine artifact in his hands. The other party had inexplicably become a reserve member of the Lord of all races and had the authority to command them. He had even called him Origini in front of the god spirits of all races? Origini my *SS. What infuriated he the most was that these gods from all races were not surprised by this scene at all. Some god spirits even seemed to have forgotten that they had once followed their race to deal with common peoples regal together. Now, they seemed to be using him to wag their tails and beg the Lord of the Blazing Sun for mercy. They only hoped that the Lord of the Blazing Sun would show mercy and bestow this so-called membership of the Supreme Alliance Army to them. All the prosperity in the world came for benefits. All the hustle and bustle in the world came for benefits. At this moment, it was vividly displayed in front of the Origin. However, at the same time, an idea suddenly surfaced in his mind. The slots for the Supreme Alliance Army were very popular. Why didn't I use this opportunity to sell the slots for benefits and friendship? As soon as this thought appeared, it grew crazily in his mind like weeds. Origin sneered. Fine. Since you, the Lord of the Blazing Sun, treat me like a servant, I'll first make use of your identity and power to earn some benefits that belong to me. You asked for it. However, just as he was about to take action, a voice suddenly appeared in his mind. It was Zhou's voice. Origini, this is my request for the god spirits to join the Supreme Alliance Army. Choose the god spirits according to the requirements of the higher-ups. Then there were more than 10 requirements. The first rule was that the gods who joined the Supreme Alliance Army had to first join the Blazing Sun Empire and choose to serve he as their master. The second was that the god spirits of the evil faction were unable to join his Supreme Alliance Army. The third rule, when selecting the god spirits to join the Supreme Allied Forces, there was no discrimination with racial blood. Only god spirits with high bloodlines were allowed to join, and god spirits with medium bloodlines and weak bloodlines were not allowed to join. Fourth rule, if you want to use treasures to exchange for the qualifications to join the Supreme Alliance Army, sure, just pass it to me through to Origin. There's also a price list attached. The fifth rule, just like that, more than 10 selection rules appeared in front of Origin. These requests directly bankrupted Origin's idea of using this opportunity to obtain benefits. According to his selection rules, not only would he not be able to obtain any profits, he would even help him obtain a large sum of profits. Apart from that, he would also recruit a group of elite god spirits who would absolutely submit to him to assist him in heading to the ultimate void battlefield. Origin really wanted to reject this profession that made he work for nothing. However, he couldn't refuse because Zhou was a reserve army of the Lord of all races. If he dared to reject the Lord of all races' orders, he had no doubt that he would be stripped of everything in the next second. He might even become an ordinary life form without extraordinary tier powers. The Lord of the Blazing Sun was not the first Lord of all races reserve army under the Supreme Will. There were already 3 Lords of races reserve armies in front of him. History had already told Origin how miserable the consequences of disobeying the Lord of all races' orders would be. Hence, he hesitated for a while before obediently following Zhou's request. When Zhou saw Origin selecting god spirits for him in the battle channel, a smile appeared on his face. Even though this Lord of all races is only a reserve army, the god spirits of the heavens don't dare to underestimate him, he said to himself with a smile. Then, he looked at the reward given to him by the Supreme Will. Firstly, it was the title of Lord of all races reserve army. Title name, Lord of all races reserve army. Title quality, Supreme. Title effect 1, commanding the heavens. You are one of the future successors of the Supreme Will. You have the power to command all living beings in the world. Even great will-level existences will respect and consider your suggestions and help you. Title effect 2, execution of words. You have the talent of execution of words. You can produce a direct and immediate execution of words effect on any life form and matter below the Master God tier. You can also use the execution of words ability to affect Supreme God realm and willpower level existences to a certain extent. Title Effect 3, Supreme Heavenly Might. You are the Lord of all races. Anyone who looks down on you will be punished by the Supreme Will. Title Effect 4, Destiny's Path. You can obtain a portion of the Lord of all races reserve authority by defeating the reserves of other lords. When you gather all the reserve authority of the Lord of all races, you will automatically become the only true Lord of all races. Title Description. A supreme title personally awarded by the Supreme Will. Owner has a chance to become the Lord of all races, who rules the heavens in the future. This title is quite effective. Zhou nodded in satisfaction after reading it. With the title effect of Lord of all races reserve, he could do many things in the future. Many scenes had already appeared in his mind. Chapter 1401. Grade 3 Supreme Divine Artifact Supreme Holy Sword. Title of Lord of the Race. Zhou opened the Lord of all races treasure chest. There was a sword quietly placed inside. This sword was completely black, and there were stars faintly visible on the sword. It was as if every star was a world, and the hilt was engraved with dense law engravings. Zhou looked over and realized that it was the nomological engraving of a lord's law. He clicked his tongue in wonder. Then, he picked it up and looked at it. A text notification appeared. Name of the Divine Artifact. Supreme Holy Sword. Grade of Divine Artifact. Grade 3 Supreme Divine Artifact. Exclusive. Divine Artifact Law 1. Commanding the Heavens. The Supreme Holy Sword is the symbol of supreme authority. Only living beings recognized by the Supreme Will, and given the Lord of all races reserve army destiny, can have this sword. Those who have this sword can control a quarter of the Supreme Great Cosmos, and make a quarter of the Supreme Great Cosmos your temporary territory. The living beings in this quarter of the Supreme Great Cosmos must listen to most of your orders. Divine Artifact Law 2. Supreme Luck. Possessing the Supreme Holy Sword also means that you are blessed as the fate of the Supreme Lord Reserve Army. You will be able to turn misfortune into good fortune, and turn disaster into blessing. Divine Artifact Law 3. Supreme Heart. Your physique, soul, and will be more compatible with the Lord's Law. The comprehension of the Lord's Law will increase by 20 times. Divine Artifact Law 4. Supreme Blessing. When the Lord of all races is in danger, it can actively summon the full strength attack of the Supreme Will. However, after using it, the user will default to giving up the power and status of the Lord of all races. Prompt. The soul has been forcibly recognized as its master and cannot be removed. After reading it, Zhou couldn't help but hold his breath. He looked at the first Divine Artifact Law, commanding the heavens. He could control a quarter of the Supreme Great Cosmos, and make a quarter of it his temporary territory. Even though it was only a temporary territory, it was still quite heaven-defying. The other 3 Divine Artifact Laws were also quite powerful. There was naturally no need to mention the Supreme Luck. The Supreme Heart could allow him to better comprehend the Lord's laws. Even though Supreme Blessing could summon the full power attack of the Supreme Will to protect him, after using it, he would lose the qualifications to be the Lord of all races reserve army. Zhou naturally would not use this move unless he was in a desperate situation. He guessed that this Supreme Blessing was not only a self-protection ability, given to the Lord of all races by the Supreme Will, but also a warning to the other Lords of all races. It was fine for the 2 of them to compete for the qualifications to be the Lord of all races reserve force, but they could not force the other party into a dead end. Otherwise, if the other party used the Supreme Will's full strength in the end, no one would feel good. The Supreme Will regarded the 4 Lords of all races as talents. It only wanted them to compete among themselves, but it did not want them to kill each other internally. Even if he could not become the Lord of all races in the end, as long as he survived, he could still be a good subordinate after all. As expected of the exclusive divine artifact of the Lord of all races reserve army, This can also be considered the first supreme divine artifact in my possession. Zhou sighed. Then he put it away. He had quite a few trump cards in his hands, so he didn't need this supreme divine artifact for the time being. Zhou suddenly thought of something and opened his other title information. It was the title information of the title of the Lord of the Race. A smile appeared on his face after he took a look. Sure enough, they're all unlocked. He smiled and muttered to himself. Title name, Lord of the Race. Title grade, unique. Title effect 1, commanding all life. You are the Lord of the Race. You have obtained the fate level of Lord of the Race. You can give orders to any existence in your race. Your subjects will accept it without conditions and carry it out firmly, even if this order goes against the laws of humanity. Title effect 2, Race Conqueror I. The offensive strength of you and the soldiers of your race will increase by 100% when you lead your race to conquer other races. Title effect 3, Race Conqueror 2. Your and your race's soldiers' physical defense and recovery ability, plus 100%, when you lead your race to conquer other races. Title effect 4, Race Conqueror 3. You and the soldiers of your race have obtained the talent of War Might. In war, there is a small chance of triggering War Might, causing the enemy to be frightened, afraid, stiff, and surrender without fighting. Title effect 4, Supreme Race. When you and the soldiers of your race fight against other races, if your race's bloodline level is higher than the enemy's, the enemy will be suppressed by 10%. If your race's bloodline level is lower than the enemy's, you and the soldiers of your race will not be negatively affected by the enemy's bloodline. Title description. A title that can only be obtained by the Lord of the Races, who wins first place in the Lord of the Race event. The person with this title is the Lord of the Race. Not bad. Zhou nodded in satisfaction after reading it. By the way, have the effects of the title of Lord of the Races of the other lords of the myriad races, who ended their activities in advance, been unlocked? He suddenly thought of this and asked curiously. In the next second, a line of text appeared. Supreme Will notification. All lords of the myriad races who ended the activity of the Lord of the Race early will retain the title of the Lord of the Race, but only the first title effect. The other title effects have all disappeared. Zhou nodded after reading it. Then, he laughed. With the title of the Lord of the Races, the difference in combat power between he and the other races would widen again. Then, he closed the title interface of the Lord of the Race and took out a corpse. This corpse was none other than the corpse of the Master God tier of the Qi race that Onion had killed on the Cerulean planet today. As for his brother's corpse, it naturally disappeared with his self-destruction. What was worth mentioning was that after the Lord of All Races event ended, the active universe officially closed. The various race lord factions in the active universe, and their racial teritones, had also returned to their original positions in the supreme great cosmos. The Cerulean planet was no exception. Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu had already returned to the supreme continent, and were currently recuperating. In addition, the function of the Gate of Summoning to connect the High Continent and Cerulean planet was preserved. Now, all the lords of the myriad races could return to their race's territory through the Gate of Summoning, and they were no longer restricted by the transfer of supplies and troops. Speaking of which, Zhou looked at the corpse in front of him. A text notification appeared. Item name: Qi Race Master God Tier. West Rogers Corpse. Item level: Master God Tier. Advanced grade. Item effect: contains unextracted loots. Item description: one of the 12 Master Gods of the Qi race. At the same time, he was also the Deputy Patriarch of the Qi race. He died in the battle against common people's regal. Loots drop rate: 600 Master God Tier. Advanced grade Divine Crystals. Drop rate: 100%. 1 Master God Advanced grade Bloodline. Qi race bloodline. Drop rate: 10%. 1 Master God Advanced Race Skill Book. Origin Qi. Drop rate: 5%. 1 Master God Tier. Advanced grade Racial Talent Ball. Drop rate: 3%. 1 Master God Tier. Elementary grade Divine Artifact. 7 Stars Rui Tussle. Drop rate: 1%. 1 Master God Tier. Intermediate grade Divine Artifact. 10,000 Primordial Spirit Armor. Drop rate: 1%. 1 Master God Tier Advanced Grade Book of the God Spirit. Drop rate, 0.5%. 1 Will Like Light Realm Book Method of Concentrating the Will of the Chi Race. Drop rate, 0.1%. 1 Master God Tier Advanced Grade Willpower Skill Chi Realm. Drop rate, 0%. Chapter 1402, Big Explosion. Astonishing Loots. Will Divine Transformation Realm. Zhou nodded in satisfaction after reading it. He had 2 Master God Tier Divine Artifacts, as expected of the top Master God of the Chi race. Not to mention his Master God Tier treasures such as the Book of the God Spirit, Will Condensation Technique, and Master God Tier Inheritances. This is the most important part. Zhou took a deep breath and chanted in his heart to activate the Heavenly Fate Di Huang's explosive ability and the additional loot's ability of the Lucky Star. In the next second, a text notification appeared. Lord Talent Notification. Your spoils of war have been enhanced by Heavenly Fate Di Huang. Perfect loots. Quality +1. Lord Talent Notification. Your spoils of war have been strengthened by Heavenly Fate Di Huang. The number of loots increased by 1000%. Title Hint. Your spoils of war have been affected by the titles of Strongest Lord of All Races and Strongest Lord of All Races. Number of loots +150%. Title Hint. Your spoils of war have been affected by the title of King of 10,000 Kings. The number of loots increased by 100%. Lord Talent Notification. You have obtained perfect loots, 21,000 Divine Crystals, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. 40 Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Bloodlines, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. 40 Race Skill Books, Heavenly Energy, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. 40 Race Talent Spheres, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. 40 Divine Artifacts, Heavenly Seal, Grade 1 Supreme God Realm. 40 Divine Artifacts, Heavenly Wall Divine Armor, Grade 2 Supreme God Realm. 1 Book of the God Spirit, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. 1 Will Divine Transformation Realm. Heavenly Blade Will Condensation Technique. 40 Willpower Skills, Million Blades Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Lucky Star Hint. You have obtained a special loot. Puppet of the Supreme God of Heavenly Blade, Grade 3 Supreme God. After Zhou looked at the loots, he couldn't help but take a deep breath and smile. It's an explosive effect. It's comparable to or even surpassed all my gains from the mysterious auction. It's really amazing. Ha 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 ha. Zhou could not help but laugh. Anyone who saw so many loots would probably laugh proudly. Even a Supreme God Realm expert should be smiling at this moment. There were so many top Supreme God Realm loots after all. If a Supreme God Realm came and saw so many top-grade treasures, they would probably be shocked. After a while, Zhou gradually calmed down and began to check the loots one by one. The first was naturally these 21,000 Grade 1 Supreme God Realm Divine Crystals. Soon a text notification appeared. You have absorbed 1 portion of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Bloodline. 3rd Order Supreme God Realm. Your Chaos Human Bloodline has been unearthed with even more potential. Your Chaos Human Bloodline has unearthed more potential and advanced to the True God Tier Intermediate Grade Bloodline. Your Chaos Human Bloodline has unearthed more potential and advanced to the Master God Tier Intermediate Grade Bloodline. Your Chaos Human Bloodline has unearthed more potential and advanced to the Master God Tier Advanced Grade Bloodline. Your 6 senses powers have been greatly enhanced. Your Chaos Sacred Body Constitution has been greatly enhanced. You have awakened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Chaos Human Race Talent, Tao Slaying Divine Saber. You have awakened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Chaos Human Race Talent, Chaotic Blade Chi. You have awakened a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Chaos Human Race Talent, Heavens Will Like a Knife. You have awakened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Chaos Human Race Racial Skill, Escape Realm 9 Blades. You have awakened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Talent, Limitless Heavenly Blade. You have awakened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Talent, Heart of Annihilation. You have awakened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm, Enhanceable Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Talent, Jedi Blade. You have grasped the inheritance of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm. You have mastered the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm skill, Immeasurable Saber Light. You have grasped the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm skill, Saber/Willpower. You have mastered the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm skill, Heaven Destroying Tao. You have mastered the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm skill, Supreme God Realm Physical Immunity, Awakening Level 10%. You have mastered the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm skill, Supreme God Realm Elemental Immunity, Awakening Rate 10%. You have mastered the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm skill, Supreme God Realm Soul Immunity, Awakening Rate 10%. You have mastered the will-like light of the Heavenly Blade. You have grasped the will of the Heavenly Blade, Will Divine Transformation Realm. Boom! Zhou closed his eyes. His will transformed and became boundless. After an unknown period of time, Zhou opened his eyes. Then, he instantly felt that the world in front of him had changed. If the essence of the previous world was a law, and he was a part of the world, in terms of status, he was inferior to the supreme world that had given birth to he and raised him. Now, he felt that he seemed to be of the same level as the world. No, it might even surpass it. He now felt that he could use his willpower and a single thought to modify the laws around him and do something rather unbelievable. Modify reality, travel through time and space, make falsehoods come true. He could do all of this without relying on his comprehension of Lord's law and his own divine power. He could do all of this with just a thought. If he took another step forward, he could even completely break free from the restraints of laws and reach a supreme realm that transcended laws. However, that realm was too far away from Zhou, so he did not think too much about it. He was now focused on sensing the changes brought to him by the new realm of will. Is this the Will Divine Transformation realm? Zhou muttered to himself. Then, a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 1403. Grade 1 Supreme Divine Artifact, Great Heaven Seal. Normally speaking, the Will Divine Transformation realm was a realm that only top Master God tier and Supreme God realm experts could reach. And his current true realm was only at true God tier intermediate grade. He wasn't even a Master God, yet he had already comprehended this realm. This could be said to be earth-shattering. It also meant that, in the future, he would only be able to reach the Supreme God realm without much setbacks. All that accumulation, all the adventures, finally the fruit of will has been born at this moment. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. With the Will Divine Transformation realm, he would have a certain level of self-preservation, even if he faced Supreme God realm existences in the future. Only then did he have the mood to look at the other notifications regarding the fusion of bloodlines. Then, he couldn't help but raise his brows. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. Then, he was overjoyed. My Chaos Human bloodline has finally broken through the bottleneck and broken through to the true gods. Furthermore, he advanced 6 levels in a row and directly advanced from a high-tier deity level advanced grade to a Master God tier advanced grade. Ha ha ha. Zhou could not help but laugh heartily. The inability to improve the Chaos Human bloodline had always been a sore point in his heart. Even if he said that he didn't care on the surface, how could he really not care? The Chaos Humans had been following him ever since he passed the Novice Lord test after all. Furthermore, they had provided he with great help as he grew up. Even after he obtained the Supreme Sacred Body, he still couldn't forget the Chaos Human bloodline. However, due to the unknown bottleneck of advancement, he had been stuck at the high-tier deity level advanced grade Chaos Human bloodline and could not advance. He finally broke through this bloodline bottleneck and improved the Chaos Human bloodline again with the help of this Grade 3 Supreme God Realm bloodline. I don't care what the conditions are for my bloodline to advance. I'll do it even if I have to kneel in front of a Supreme God Realm bloodline. Zhou grinned. If even the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm bloodline could not break through the bottleneck of the high-tier deity level advanced grade Chaos Human bloodline, then he could only admit defeat. Fortunately, this Supreme God Realm bloodline was powerful enough. Then, He began to carefully examine the racial skills and racial talents that he had awakened after absorbing the Supreme God Realm bloodline. After reading all of them, he couldn't help but click his tongue. As expected of the bloodline inheritance of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm, with unparalleled offensive power. Almost all of his abilities were offensive. His had no defensive methods at all. He looked at it carefully for a while before looking at the 4.0 Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Racial Skill Books. Heaven Origin Chi. The Heaven Origin Chi of the heavens was a type of origin Chi, as the name suggested. It was an all-purpose energy that could be augmented by almost any method. If it was added to the attack method would become even sharper and stronger. With the augmentation of the defensive means would become even more indestructible. With the augmentation of the secret technique, the effect of the secret technique would be greatly enhanced. After the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm comprehended this omnipotent power, his attack also advanced to a higher level. To Zhou, this Heaven Origin Chi could also strengthen his Lord's nomological techniques. Even though it did not strengthen him much, it could still increase his combat strength by 10% to 20%. At his level, 10% to 20% of his combat strength was already an astonishing increase. Then, he looked at the 40 Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Race Talent Spheres. He took out one of the choices to absorb it. Then, instead of awakening a new racial talent, he strengthened the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Racial Talent that he had just awakened through his bloodline, Limitless Heavenly Blade. Zhou was stunned for a moment before his expression returned to normal. It was very normal for the ability of bloodline awakening to overlap with the ability that it had dropped. They were all spoils of war from the same immortal's corpse after all. He had encountered similar situations in the past, so he wasn't too surprised. In addition, it was not without gains. The Limitless Heavenly Blade was one of the most commonly used moves of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm. Now that it had been strengthened, he felt that his comprehension of this move had already reached a level infinitely close to the Supreme God Realm. This could also be one of his trump cards. Then, he looked at one of the only two supreme divine artifacts. Great Heaven Seal. The Great Heaven Seal was only the size of a palm, and its entire body was the color of blood jade. There were 9 dragons surrounding him, but the seal was surrounded by demons and ghosts. It looked very dignified, and it had the divine intent to suppress demons in all directions. Divine Artifact Name, Great Heaven Seal. Divine Artifact Grade, Grade 1 Supreme Divine Artifact. Divine Artifact Law 1 Great Heaven Seal. The Great Heaven Seal contains supreme and holy power. It can seal all living beings in the myriad worlds. All life forms below the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm can be sealed by the Great Heaven Seal. The length of the seal depends on the strength of the owner and the strength of the enemy. Divine Artifact Law 2, Great Heaven Evil Refinement. The Great Heaven Seal contains supreme holy power. It can refine living beings and things with evil attributes sealed in the Great Heaven Seal. It can remove their evilness and restore their clarity. At the same time, with every evil life form and thing refined, the Great Heaven Seal itself will be strengthened. After refining a large number of evil life forms and things, the quality of the Great Heaven Seal will increase. Divine Artifact Law 3, Great Heaven Suppression. The Great Heaven Seal is extremely powerful. It can suppress life forms below Grade 1 Supreme God Realm, causing them to be suppressed for a short period of time and unable to unleash part or even all of their strength and effects. The suppression effect depends on the strength of the owner and the strength of the suppressor. Divine Artifact Law 4, Power of Heaven. The Great Heaven Seal is a sacred artifact that is a combination of the Lord Law of Sealing, Lord Law of Evil Refinement, and Lord Law of Suppression. The owner's willpower can enter it and comprehend the mysteries of the laws and willpower within. Prompt. Requires willpower to recognize a master. Zhou's eyes lit up after reading it. This was actually an extremely rare seal-type Supreme Divine Artifact. Sealing and suppressing Supreme Divine Artifacts were different from offensive Divine Artifacts and defensive Divine Artifacts. He could at most suppress, control, and seal the enemy, But he couldn't directly injure the enemy. Or even if he did injure the enemy, he wouldn't cause much damage. However, in contrast, the upper limit of sealing Supreme God Realm artifacts was very high. Just like this Great Heaven Seal, he was clearly only a Grade 1 Supreme Divine Artifact. However, it could seal life forms and things below Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. This far exceeded his grade. However, it could do it. And there was something else that tempted him. The Great Heaven Seal actually contained the laws of the Sealed Lord, the Lord of Evil Refinement, and the Lord of Suppression. If he studied it well, it was very likely that he would be able to comprehend 3 completely different Lord Law skills. What a good divine artifact. Just what I need. Zhou nodded slightly. He was very satisfied. Chapter 1404. Grade 2 Supreme Divine Artifact, Heavenly Wall Divine Armor. Grade 3 Willpower Skill, Million Blades. Then, Zhou put away all 40 Grade 1 Supreme God Realm Divine Artifacts, the Great Heaven Seal. Unfortunately, only he could rely on the uniqueness of the chaotic sacred power to forcefully use this Grade 1 Supreme God Realm Divine Artifact, the Great Heaven Seal, in his current territory. Otherwise, if a total of 40 Supreme Divine Artifacts could be used at the same time, even powerful Supreme God Realm forces would have to lower their heads in front of him. Fortunately, my Chaos Human Bloodline advanced from High-Tier Deity level to Master God Tier Advanced Grade. Otherwise, with the bloodline of the High-Tier Deity level Advanced Grade Chaotic Human Race, even if the chaotic sacred power is special, I'm afraid it can't support me to use a Supreme Divine Artifact that is 2 levels higher than me. Zhou secretly rejoiced. He could only say that the breakthrough of the Chaos Human Race bloodline this time came at the right time. Then, he looked at the 40 silver-white holy armors that were engraved with the scene of the vast firmament. Grade 2 Supreme Divine Artifact, Heavenly Wall Divine Armor. Information about the Divine Artifact appeared. Name of the Divine Artifact: Heavenly Wall Sacred Armor. Divine Artifact Grade: Level 3 Supreme Divine Artifact. Divine Artifact Law 1. Heavenly Wall Divine Defense. The Heavenly Wall Divine Armor is one of the top 3 defensive Supreme Divine Artifacts among the Grade 2 Supreme Divine Artifacts. It can block most Grade 2 Supreme God Realm and below Supreme God Realm nomological attacks, Divine Soul attacks, and will attacks. It can also defend against attacks above Grade 2 Supreme God Realm by 10% to 50% defense effects. Divine Artifact Law 2, Sacred Wall Counterattack. When the attacks from the outside world, spiritual attacks, and will attacks land on the Skywall Sacred Armor, the Skywall Sacred Armor can reflect 10% to 90% of the attacks it receives on the enemy's body. The probability of the rebound depends on the enemy's strength. The lower the enemy's strength, the higher the probability of the rebound. If not, the lower the rebound. Divine Artifact Law 3, Sacred Defense Technique. When the user activates the Sacred Defense Technique, when the soldiers under the user fight the enemy's attacks will be reduced by 5% when they land on their own soldiers. Divine Artifact Law 4, Power of the Heavenly Wall. The Heavenly Wall Sacred Armor is a sacred artifact that is a combination of the Lord Law of Defensive Lords, Lord Law of Counterattack Lords, and Lord Law of Weakening Lords. The owner's willpower can enter it and comprehend the mysteries of the laws and willpower within. Prompt: requires willpower to recognize a master. This Sky Wall Sacred Armor came at the right time. Zhou looked at this Grade 2 Supreme Divine Artifact and nodded in satisfaction. He was basically invincible among the Master God tier. What he feared now was only the Supreme God Realm and stronger willpower level existences. Will level existences were truly high and mighty existences. Generally, they would not easily attack. In fact, the Supreme God Realm could not make a move easily before. But now that the Lord of AU Race's competition was over, the Supreme Will's restriction on the Supreme God Realm's existence was naturally lifted. Therefore, he now had to consider guarding against the Supreme God Realm's attack on him. Most importantly, Supreme God Realm existences participate in the ultimate void battleground. With this Skywall Sacred Armor, it'll be much safer in the ultimate void battlefield. Zhou muttered to himself. Then, he swept past the other true God tier and master God tier loots, and directly looked at the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Book of the God Spirit. Treasure name: Book of the God Spirit. Treasure grade: Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Treasure effect: a mythical tier book that records the path of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm. After using it, one can walk the path of becoming the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm. Treasure description: the Inheritance Book of the Supreme God Realm Spirit. After using it, you can walk on a peak path that leads to the end of the God Spirit. It's indeed the Book of Divinity of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm. Zhou nodded. Then, he shook his head. As the last stop on the path of a God Spirit, it was extremely difficult for a Supreme God Realm to become a Supreme God Realm expert. Even if he had the Book of the God Spirit, he might not necessarily be able to imitate the path of the Book of the God Spirit and become a Supreme God Realm. At the later grades of the Will Realm, every Will Realm expert would be a unique existence. Even if he had a 1:1 copy of the Willpower Realm Inheritance, it was impossible for two identical Willpower Realm existences to be BOM. At that level, the Willpower Realm Inheritance could only be used as a reference. It could not be regarded as a Bible that had to be followed. Otherwise, it was impossible for living beings who had the inheritance of the Willpower Realm to reach the Willpower Realm. Of course, this did not mean that the value of the Willpower Realm Inheritance was not high. On the contrary, every inheritance of a Will Realm existence was extremely valuable. Even the Supreme Will valued the inheritance of a Will-level existence. Even if it could only be used as a reference after all, it was enough to be said to be priceless. However, Zhou was a God Spirit who had long understood his own path. Naturally, he would not use the path of others to become a Supreme God Realm. Therefore, he directly threw this Book of the God Spirit into the military merit exchange system, making he the most valuable exchange item in the military merit exchange system. Then, he looked at the last two loots. There was naturally no need to mention the Will Divine Transformation Realm, Heavenly Blade, Will Condensation Technique. He had used this legacy as a reference to raise his will to the Will Divine Transformation Realm. Therefore, he looked directly at the last loots. Willpower Skill, Million Blades. Willpower Skill Name: Million Blades. Quality: Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Willpower Skill Description: gather the power of willpower and release 10,000 willpower blades at the enemy. If the enemy does not have a willpower protection skill, they can kill any existence below the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. A Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Will technique. Moreover, it's a pure killing will skill. This is my true trump card. Zhou muttered to himself. A glint flashed across his eyes. A current Will Realm happened to be at the Will Divine Transformation Realm, so he could use this will skill. Even though he, a newbie who had just entered the Will Divine Transformation Realm, could at most injure a Grade 1 Supreme God Realm existence with the Million Blades, it was also very impressive. This meant that even if a Supreme God Realm expert wanted to deal with him, he had the means to protect himself, and even counterattack after all. Moreover, it was the kind that did not require any external items. I still have to continue to improve my Willpower Realm. Only when I advance to the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm will that be the limit of this willpower skill. At that time, just by relying on this will technique, I can make even Grade 3 Supreme God Realms extremely wary of me. Even a Grade 4 Supreme God Realm might not dare to attack me. No matter which Supreme God Realm it is, they would not dare to let their will be casually injured after all. Zhou thought to himself. At the level of a Grade 4 Supreme God Realm, they would feel more and more that whether it was their divine body or the divine soul, there were not their natal cores. Only their own will was their true core. Their divine body and soul had been destroyed. It doesn't matter. As long as there was a will, even if it was only an incomplete will, the Supreme God Realm had the possibility of revival. Just like Regal Soul Heaven. In addition, willpower was the most important core to advance to the Supreme Will Realm. Therefore, a Grade 4 Supreme God Realm would never let his will be easily injured. Once he was injured, it would not be easy to recover. It might even affect his future advancement to the Supreme Will realm. With this concern, who would dare to easily fight Zhou, who had mastered a will technique? Thinking of this, Zhou looked at this will skill and could not help but feel very relieved. Chapter 1405. Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Puppet. New 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talent. 1. Editor Addis Studios. My current will realm is only at the initial will divine transformation realm. If I go all out, I can at most kill a grade 1 Supreme God realm, or injure a grade 2 Supreme God realm. Then we'll have to do something else, Zhou thought to himself. Then, he looked at the last loots created by the Lucky Star. Treasure name: Puppet of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm. Treasure grade: Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Treasure effect: after the will acknowledges its master, it can obtain the loyalty of a Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm puppet, with the strength of a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. This Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm puppet had the talent: Limitless Heavenly Blade, Talent Heart of Annihilation, Talent Blade of Extremity, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Skill. Immeasurable Saber Light, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Skill. Saber/Will, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Skill. Heavenly Destruction Tao, Heavenly Blade Will Divine Transformation Realm. Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Skill. Supreme God Realm Physical Immunity, 80% Awakening, Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Elemental Immunity, 70% Awakening. Grade 3 Supreme God Realm. Supreme God Realm. Supreme God Realm. Supreme God Realm. Supreme God Realm Ability. Supreme God Realm. Supreme God Realm Immunity, 70% Awakening. Current use of the Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Puppet. 1/1. Treasure Description: the spoils of war from a Master God tier of the Qi race. It's a treasure that has been refined under the power of luck. It can be used to protect its master or attack. What a treasure! Zhou's eyes lit up when he saw the loots. His lucky star was actually used every day, but the spoils of war produced were mostly unsatisfactory. Unexpectedly, there was a huge drop this time. He directly gave he a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm puppet. Even if this puppet could only be used once, he would not lose out at all. This puppet is even stronger than my willpower skill Million Blades. If I can make good use of him, it will definitely allow me to avoid a major crisis, or bring me a super harvest, Zhou thought. Then, he carefully put it away. Then, he opened the war summary that Zero had just sent him and read it. For the entire day, the wars that happened were mainly the Founding War, and the allied army of the people of foreign races that moved the universe. The prophets of the Founding War had already been mentioned, so there was naturally no need to say anything here. On the other hand, the active universe had eliminated more than 5 trillion soldiers from the capital units, more than 30 million god spirits, more than 3,000 true god tiers, and 2 master god tiers. He obtained a total of mist cores, origin crystals, skill books, equipment and basic materials of various levels in the capital units. There were also 1,060,206,608,784 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 10,360 legendary tier, and below Lord Talent spheres. A large number of Lord Talent crystal fragments of other levels. 1 Lord Talent sphere containing the 10 sacred blessings, the protection of the primordial dragon's first venerable, the only Lord Talent. There were also 3,659, 9,784, 1,000 units of divine crystals from the low-tier deity level to the high-tier deity level, 463,638,748 true god-tier divine crystals, 56, 3,007,841 master god-tier divine crystals, 3 to 53 trillion and 33 million low-tier to high-tier deity level divine artifacts, 3 to 6 million true god-tier divine artifacts, 874 master god-tier divine artifacts. There were a total of about 2 trillion and 10 million divine spark fragments, god-tier herbs, god-tier ingredients, god-tier ores, god-tier blueprints, and other treasures. 54,116,560 master god-tier herbs, God-tier ingredients, God-tier ores, God-tier blueprints, and other treasures. In addition, in terms of insight defection, Zhou Fight had used the 10,000 Spirit Saint to instigate a total of 5 capital units and 6563, 241, 566, 328, 965 soldiers of the 4 races, 35,297,006 God spirits, 4,693 true God tiers, and 3 people of foreign races Master God tiers. In addition, 1 Dragon Race Master God tier had taken the initiative to surrender, making a total of 4 Master Gods. In addition, in terms of the advancement of God spirits, a total of 1 million legendary tier advanced grade soldiers had been promoted to low-tier deity level elementary grade God spirits. There were also 532 high-tier deity level advanced grade God spirits, who had advanced to true God tier elementary grade God spirits. In addition, Nazario and the other 3 true God tier advanced grades had already comprehended their Master God tier elementary grade law skills. They only needed to enter seclusion for a day or 2, and there was a high chance that their Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom would have 3 new High God Realm experts. Including these insight defection troops and newly advanced God Spirit powerhouses, Zhou's current military strength had already reached 31 capital units with 5986, 992, 348, 608, 289 soldiers, 99027, 760 God spirits, 17,540 true gods, and 57 master gods. Zhou nodded slightly when he saw this number. He was 1 step closer to the army of the capital units. Then, he took out the 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talent Sphere that contained the primordial dragon, first venerable. He looked at the Lord Talent Sphere. A text notification appeared. Treasure name: Lord Talent Sphere 10 Sacred Blessings Primordial Dragon. First Venerable's Protection, Treasure Grade. Mythical Tier, Unique, Treasure Effect. After absorbing it, the Lord will have the mythical tier. Only Lord Talent, 10 Sacred Blessings, Protection of the Primordial Dragon, First Venerable. Treasure description: a spoil of war that could not be dropped, but was forcefully dropped under the drive of some mysterious power. The 6th 10 Sacred Blessings series Lord Talent. Zhou smiled. He was only left with the original Master God Origin, the King of all gods, Di Huang, the Chaotic Beast God, the Heaven Curse Beast, and the Death Master God, Thanatos, the 4 Lord Talents. It was only a matter of time before he gathered all the Lord Talents of the 10 Sacred Blessings. Then he absorbed it. Then, he successfully awakened the Primordial Dragon First Venerable's 10 Sacred Blessings series of Lord Talents. Lord Talent, 10 Sacred Blessings, Protection of the First Venerable of the Primordial Dragon, Mythical Tier, Unique. Specific Talent Effect 1. Helu's Supreme Blessing. One of the 10 chief gods under the Supreme Will Light Master God. Helu has cast the Supreme Blessing on you and all your subjects. Chapter 1406. Heavenly Blade Supreme God Realm Puppet. New 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talent. 2. You and all the subjects under you will obtain the effect of the Dragon's Blessing. Under the effect of the Dragon's Blessing, the physical fitness, strength of your magic power, soul strength, and other comprehensive qualities of you and your subjects will greatly increase. It will also increase your dragon might talent. Very few talented subjects will awaken various pure-blooded dragon bloodlines. Specific Talent Effect 2. Heavenly Dragon Contract. You and the subjects under you can naturally be close to the sub-dragons and pure-blooded dragons. You can more easily form contracts with the sub-dragons and dragons, and become companions who fight and live together. Some subjects with extremely high Heavenly Dragon Contract talent will secretly attract the pure-blooded dragons, and even legendary dragons of the myriad worlds to come to you. They will take the initiative to form a Heavenly Dragon Contract with you, and become comrades who will live and die together. Specific Talent Effect 3. Law of the Dragon. You and your subjects have a unique talent in the Law of the Dragon. During the cultivation process, it's easier to comprehend the Dragon Clan series of spells, or even the Law of the Dragon's nomological skills. When you choose to become a god with the law of the dragon, you will obtain an additional 50% chance of successfully advancing. Specific Talent Effect 4. Master God's Protection. The development process of you and your Lord's faction will not be obstructed by other Master God level powerhouses. The first venerable of the primordial dragon will secretly protect you and your Lord's faction and stop, or kill, all the Master God level powerhouses who dare to come and have ill intentions. Specific Talent Effect 5. Protector of the Divine Kingdom. When your Lord faction advances to the beginner level Divine Kingdom, the Light God Helu will automatically join your Lord faction and become a worshipped Master God loyal to you. However, you have to promise him that you will help the Light God Helu advance to the Supreme God realm in the future. Prompt 1. The first venerable of the primordial dragon is coming as you have established a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. Prompt. Due to your extremely high heavenly dragon contract talent, a mysterious legendary dragon is on the way to form a contract with you. Zhou looked at this mythical tier-only Lord talent carefully. When he reached the end, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. He was not surprised by the arrival of the primordial dragon first venerable. But who was that mysterious legendary dragon? There were about 50 legendary dragons. There were still more than 40 other than the legendary dragons under him. He really couldn't guess which legendary dragon would take the initiative to look for him. Then, he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Who cares? They'll know when they come. Then, his gaze landed on the first and second effects of this mythical tier, unique Lord talent. The dragon's blessing was a very powerful hexagonal talent. With this talent, the various qualities of the subjects under him would be greatly enhanced. As for the heavenly dragon's blessing, it surprised Zhou even more. He had a Divine Kingdom soldier type called the Holy Dragon Knight. The most difficult thing about nurturing a Holy Dragon Knight was to let the subjects nurture an intimate relationship with the pure-blooded dragons before signing a contract. With this heavenly dragon's blessing effect, the difficulty of the Holy Dragon Knights signing the contract would definitely be greatly reduced. At that time, the number of Holy Dragon Knights under him would increase greatly. Even most Overlord level Lord factions are not my match with my current strength and faction. However, I lack a large number of Divine Kingdom soldier types that can be mass-produced. In the end, I'm still at a disadvantage. I have to find some trouble with the Lords of the Scarlet Divine Kingdom, with Divine Kingdom soldier types recently. Only then can we use the Scarlet Brood Mother to create Divine Kingdom soldier types that can be produced in batches. Zhou pondered and said, even though he had currently defeated a large number of Divine Kingdom soldier types from high-level bloodline races, they were not Scarlet Fog monsters after all. They could not be placed in the Scarlet Brood Mother to mass-produce ranch monster loots, let alone create a large number of Divine Kingdom soldier type class change certificates and recruitment books. And what he lacked the most now were these two things. Right at that moment, a cold and respectful voice sounded beside Zhou's ear. Your Excellency, common people's regal. First Venerable requests an audience. Zhou was stunned before a smile appeared on his lips. They came quite quickly. He disappeared from the world of God. The next second, he appeared directly above the blazing sun Divine Kingdom. He looked up. A towering dragon that was more than 1,000 light years tall stood in the starry sky. It was completely dark gray, and had 3 dragon heads and 8 dragon claws. Each dragon claw held a Master God tier artifact. It used his dark golden dragon eyes to look down at the blazing sun Divine Kingdom. He was like the ancestor of all dragons. The moment Zhou appeared, he felt the various dragon bloodlines in his body stir. However soon, under the suppression of the Master God tier advanced grade chaos human bloodline, this restlessness disappeared almost as soon as it appeared. Primordial Dragon, First Venerable. Greetings, Your Excellency common people's regal. First Venerable stared at Zhou and said with a rumbling voice. At this moment, most of the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom did not realize that a Master God tier existence had already arrived in the sky above them. Only the Master God tier God spirits looked at the primordial dragon in the starry sky and clicked their tongues in wonder. Another 10 Master God tier existences have come to join our Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. 6 of the 10 famous Master God tiers in the myriad worlds have already joined our Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. The Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom is getting stronger and stronger. Hihi, choosing to join the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom back, then was indeed the right choice. Those hesitating fellows are probably regretting it now. These worshipped master gods of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom chatted happily with each other. Seeing that the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom was becoming stronger and stronger, and that their king had now become one of the reserve forces of the 4 lords of all races, under the supreme will, and had a chance of becoming the lord of all races in the future, they all felt that the best decision in their lives was to join the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom in advance. At the thought of this, when he looked at the first venerable again, there was more or less a hint of disdain. So what if you're powerful? So what if you're one of the 10 Master God tier, and your strength is ranked in the top 5? You're late. This majesty no longer lacked so-called top-notch Master God tier experts. The arrival of the current primordial dragon could at most be considered icing on the cake. It could not be in existence like the War Master Gods. The importance of the two to Zhou was naturally incomparable. The War Master God and the other 5 Master God tiers were also in the Divine Kingdom world. They were looking at His Excellency the Primordial Dragon, who had arrived at the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom through the Divine Kingdom world. This old dragon is here too. Terence smiled. This old dragon has always been very ambitious, but now it is here to seek refuge with your majesty. It seems like it has already given up on its ambitions. Top Earth was deep in thought. There's no other way. Tritus smiled. It's useless for it to persevere now that His Majesty has become the Lord of all races reserve. It'll only waste its energy. The gaze of the Supreme Will is mostly on the Lord of all races reserves, and other willpower level existences after all. As for other life forms, the Supreme Will rarely pays attention to them. All the Master God tiers nodded. It was precisely because of this that when the Lord of the Blazing Sun became the Lord of all races reserve, they all gave up on other thoughts, and decided to work together to assist the Lord of the Blazing Sun, and become the true Lord of all races. Perhaps His Majesty can really gather all the Lord talents of the 10 sacred blessings. At this moment, the Light Master God tier Hilu suddenly said, I hope so. If it can be done, His Majesty will be pleasantly surprised. Terence smiled mysteriously. The other 4 Master God tiers also looked expectant. Obviously, they also wanted Zhou to obtain all the Lord talents of the 10 sacred blessings. Chapter 1407. Mythical Tier's Only Lord Talent, Khanate Dao Body. Upgrading the original Dragon Abyss. 1 translator. Ada Studios. At the same time, on the other side, the primordial dragon had a strong will, so it could naturally sense the subtle attitudes of the Master God tier existences in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom towards it. It didn't say anything on the surface. However, it sighed in its heart. This was how the Lord of all races competition worked. Since it lost the bet, it could only silently accept the consequences of losing the bet. There was no medicine for regret in this world. Greetings, Your Majesty. First Venerable said respectfully. Zhou laughed when he heard that. Welcome to the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. From now on, you will temporarily be the Deputy Commander of our Divine Kingdom's Dragon God Legion, he said. As for the Legion Commander, naturally, the position belonged to Nazario. Even the First Venerable would not be considered. It was impossible to give up the position of the Legion Commander of the Dragon God Army, just because it was here. What contributions had it even made before? Thank you, Your Majesty. In the future, I will do my utmost for His Majesty. First Venerable said respectfully. There was no objection at all. Zhou nodded and returned to the Divine Kingdom world with First Venerable, who had shrunk in size. The next day, in the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, Zhou slowly opened his eyes. He sensed his body and soon a smile appeared on his face. Master God tier Intermediate Grade Supreme Sacred Body. Done. It wasn't in vain that I spent so many Lord Talent crystal fragments and Lord Talent origin divine crystals. Zhou sighed. The intermediate Master God Tier Supreme Sacred Body allowed his dominance at the Master God Tier level to rise to another level. He had a certain level of self-preservation ability, even in the face of an attack from a Supreme God realm. At the same time, it also meant that he was one step closer to a Supreme God realm Supreme Sacred Body. When he had a Supreme God realm Supreme Sacred Body, he could have a second, third, fourth, or even more Supreme God realm Lord Talent. Then, he began to check the new mythical tier unique Lord Talent that he had awakened while cultivating the Supreme Sacred Body yesterday. After he took a look, he raised his brows slightly and revealed a dull expression. It's actually this Lord Talent. Lord Talent, Khanate Dao Body Mythical Tier, Unique, Khanate Dao Body. Cultivate the Constitution type Lord Talent. You and your subject have the Khanate Dao Body. When cultivating martial arts, elemental meditation, and other cultivation actions, the efficiency of absorbing promotion energy will increase by 10,000%. At the same time, your comprehension will increase by 10 times. Even if you and your subjects did not cultivate, the promotion energy in the world would automatically fuse into your body and accelerate your strength realm. When you and your subjects are undergoing cultivation breakthroughs, the probability of success will increase by 30%. You and your subjects have 10 times the magic power / spiritual power / divine power in your bodies, compared to life forms of the same level. The above effects will last until the Master God Tier Advanced Grade. Khanate Dao Body Lord Talent. It came from the Diamond Tier Lord Talent, Spirit Body 6 that Zhou already had. The content of the two was not much different. They were mainly used to increase one's cultivation talent. However, the Diamond Tier Lord Talent previously had a 40x cultivation efficiency bonus. Now that he had become a mythical tier unique Lord Talent, his cultivation efficiency had increased by 100 times. In addition, the Khanate Dao Body of the mythical tier, the only Lord Talent, had 3 additional effects. One was a 10-fold increase in basic comprehension. The second was to increase the probability of breaking through by 30%. The third was to increase the energy in his body by 10 times. They were all extremely shocking bonuses. But most of the breakthroughs of my soldiers now rely on War Master God Terrence's mythical tier unique Lord Talent, who still meditates to improve their cultivation. Zhou shook his head. It was precisely because of this that he felt that this Lord Talent was somewhat useless. Forget it. At least I have other abilities. This mythical tier 1 and only Lord Talent was not too bad. Then, he flew out of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace and came to Mugu. At this moment, Wuxia had already led his soldiers to deal with the Scarlet Broodmother's monster. He was chatting with Mugu while waiting for Zhou. When he saw His Majesty arrive, he immediately said respectfully, "Greetings, Your Majesty. I've already finished dealing with all the nest monsters. These are all the spoils of war." With that said, he handed the 3 world rings to Zhou. Zhou took it and entered it with his divine consciousness. One of the world rings contained a huge number of iron-eating bear pet eggs, tree core gems, and other loots. Among the other 2 world rings, one of them contained 8 capital units, Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier recruitment books, and 8 capital units, Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books. The other world ring contained 8 capital units, Yellow Talisman Dao Soldier Class Change Certificate, and 8 capital units, Violent Storm Spirit Class Change Certificate. When Zhou saw these recruitment books and class change certificates, a smile appeared on his face. Even though he was mentally prepared, he couldn't help but feel happy when he saw so many recruitment books and class change certificates. This was a total of 32 capital units recruitment books and class change certificates. He only had 31 capital unit soldiers under his command. This time, the Scarlet Broodmother's gains doubled his overall military strength. The Scarlet Broodmother is so terrifying, he lamented inwardly. Then, he looked up at Wuxia and handed him the world ring containing the class change certificate. Legion Commander Wu. As usual, you should find a reserve recruit to change your occupation. This emperor will go to the gate of summoning to recruit new recruits. Chapter 1408. Mythical Tier's Only Lord Talent, Khanate Dao Body. Upgrading the original Dragon Abyss. 2, he said. Yes, Your Grace. Wu Xian said respectfully. Zhou nodded. Then, he turned around and flew towards the gate of summoning. Before the gate of summoning, Zhou threw all 16 capital units recruitment books into the gate of summoning. Then, he asked Zero to fly over a Cosmos Emperor. He spent 100 true God tier elementary grade divine crystals and threw all 16 capital units recruitment books into the gate of summoning. The next second, the virtual projection showed that all the new recruits had already appeared in Cosmos Emperor's internal world. Welcome to the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. From now on, all of you are this Emperor's soldiers and subjects of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Zhou said a few simple words to all the new recruits, then asked Zero to lead the Violent Storm Spirit soldiers to change their profession to Forbidden Mages. Then, Zhou spent another 100 true God tier elementary grade divine crystals to summon today's subjects. In the end, he realized that he had summoned 200 million new subjects. He summoned more than 8 million subjects than usual. Moreover, among these new subjects, there were also 13 true God tier elementary grade God spirits, summoned by the glory of the Pioneer 12. Zhou had been looking forward to this day. However, when this day really came, he realized that even though he was happy, he didn't have much of a psychological reaction. That's true. He no longer lacked true gods. The number of true gods under him was almost close to 100 million. Even he didn't lack master god tiers anymore. Under such circumstances, how could he be too excited by the appearance of 13 true God tier elementary grade God spirits? PM much better than I used to be, Zhou thought to himself. Then, he didn't think too much about it. According to the old rules, these new subjects and new God spirits were added to the Homeland Defense Army by the officials. They weren't placed in the main combat army. Then, he wanted to summon today's dragons. But he quickly discovered something. The original Dragon Abyss had not leveled up yet. It was still a high-tier deity level advanced grade. After advancing to the Divine Kingdom, I forgot to advance the original Dragon Abyss. After Zhou came back to his senses, he could not help but say awkwardly. Then, he didn't think too much about it. He directly spent 400 capital units of basic materials, 10,000 true God tier elementary crystals, and 100 million high-grade elemental gems to upgrade the original Dragon Abyss from a high-tier deity level advanced grade to a true God tier elementary grade. Then, he looked at the attribute information of the original Dragon Abyss, which was a true God tier elementary grade. Building name, Original Dragon Abyss, Construction level, True God tier elementary grade, Construction effect. You can summon 6 billion white silver tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons, 600 million yellow gold tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons, 60 million white platinum tier intermediate grade pure-blooded dragons every day from the original Dragon Abyss. 6 true God tier elementary grade dragon gods will become subjects under the Lord and have a 12% chance of summoning legendary dragons. Construction upgrade. Wood 500 capital units, sand 500 capital units, metal 500 capital units, stone 500 capital units, 10,000 true God tier intermediate grade divine crystals, 500 million advanced elemental gems, territory upgraded to a divine kingdom intermediate grade lord faction, and has 5 master God tier dragons as offerings. After reading it, Zhou nodded in satisfaction. The original Dragon Abyss, which had advanced to true God tier elementary grade, could summon 66,666,660 pure-blooded dragons. Among them, there were 6,660,000 ordinary God spirit dragons and 6,660 true God tier dragons. The number of pure-blooded dragons summoned was almost the same as that of high-tier deity level advanced grades. However, the minimum summoning limit for high-tier deity level advanced grades in the original Dragon Abyss was 60 billion white platinum tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons. The lower limit for summoning true god tier elementary grade was 60 billion diamond tier elementary grades. The latter was naturally much better than the former. Furthermore, the probability of he summoning a legendary dragon had increased from 12% to 15%. It could be said to be a huge improvement. As for the upgrade requirements, they were easily met. The other conditions could be met by him now. Only one Divine Kingdom Lord faction that had upgraded their territory to intermediate grade was still not satisfied. This was not difficult for Zhou. Then, he didn't waste any time and directly spent 100 true god tier elementary grade divine crystals to activate the dragon summoning. Soon, 66,666,660 pure-blooded dragons appeared in the internal world of Cosmos Emperor that he had just called over. He roughly took a look at the situation of these pure-blooded dragons. Then, his eyes lit up. In the middle of the 60 billion pure-blooded dragons, there was a purple towering dragon. He had a crown-shaped dragon horn on his head, as though he was wearing a crown. He had dreamy purple dragon skin and 16 wings that covered the sky. He had an extremely noble and rebellious aura. Surprisingly, he was surrounded by a towering purple sun. This majestic purple sun was the size of an entire boundless universe. Its surface burned with a scorching dark purple flame. It looked mysterious, dignified, and evil. It was the legendary star-devouring demonic dragon. Back then, he had used a drop of the blood of a low-level master god tier star-devouring dragon god to transform into the star-devouring dragon god and eliminate Uriel of the Titan gods. As for the star-devouring dragon clan, including the star-devouring dragon god, they were actually the descendants of this star-devouring demon dragon. I can't believe he summoned this one. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. This legendary dragon who resounded in the myriad worlds in the name of the demon dragon was almost second only to the regal dragon and the primordial dragon. With he around, the combat power of the dragon god army under he would be much stronger. Then, he chatted with the star-devouring demon dragon for a while before incorporating he and the other pure-blooded dragons into the dragon god army. Then, he didn't care much and went straight to the Lord shop. However, what disappointed Zhou was that the items in the Lord shop today were still ordinary 3 Master God tier items. How could Zhou, who already had 81 Supreme God Realm Divine artifacts, still be interested? However, he still spent millions of Master God tier Divine crystals to buy these goods. Just treated as satisfying his obsessive-compulsive disorder. Right at that moment, boom, boom, 3 consecutive familiar explosions, accompanied by incomparable divine might fluctuations, came from the direction of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace and spread to the myriad worlds at an astonishing speed. Shortly after, a pillar of light that emitted a dark purple light and a terrifying abyssal aura soared into the sky and shot straight into the starry sky. In an instant, the scene in the starry sky changed, and the scene of the abyss appeared faintly. A huge eye of the abyss stood at the bottom of the abyss. The next second, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. Then a look of satisfaction appeared in his eyes before he slowly closed his eyes again. Then, another dazzling golden pillar of light and another aqua blue pillar of light shot into the sky, similarly illuminating the starry sky and revealing their respective unique phenomena. Even though it was much weaker than the previous abyssal pillar of light, it was still extraordinary. When the gods of the myriad worlds saw this scene and looked at the source of the 3 pillars of light, they were almost numb. The blazing sun divine kingdom again. Furthermore, 3 new master god tiers had been born in one go. Could it be that the blazing sun divine kingdom was blessed by the supreme will? Could it be that it was especially easy for true god tier advanced grade god spirits to become master gods? At the same time, in front of the Lord shop, a smile appeared on Zhou's face as he looked at the phenomenon of these 3 master god tiers advancing. I can't believe it took him only a day to get promoted. Fast enough. He chuckled. Right at that moment, by Yin Qi Xiantian, Yuan Song Ing Ning Terence Hilu Top Birth Zero Tritis, all the worshipped master gods of the blazing sun divine kingdom, flew out of the divine kingdom world one after another. They looked at the God-Lord phenomenon in the starry sky in surprise. 3 master gods were born at the same time? My goodness, giving birth to 3 master gods in a day. Is this the charm of the blazing sun divine kingdom? Our blazing sun divine kingdom is getting stronger and stronger. The master gods discussed fervently. They were all very excited. This discovery that they had joined an organization with a promising future indeed made them excited. I feel strongly that His Majesty will be our hope to advance to the Supreme God realm in the future. Top Birth, the Wisdom Master God, suddenly said. Terence did not even turn his head as he quietly watched Zhou's figure. I've always felt that way. He smiled. Chapter 1409, 60 Master Gods. The location of 2 chaotic divine demons. 1 Soon, 3 figures flew over from afar and arrived in front of him. They were Nazario, Feng Luo, and another newly promoted master god of the radiant angel race. Dragon god of the abyss Nazario, greets your majesty. Heavenly saber martial lord Feng Luo greets your majesty. Radiant god lord, Miriam greets your majesty. The 3 new master gods said respectfully at the same time. There was gratitude in their eyes. They all understood that the reason why they could have everything they had today was because of this great man in front of them. Okay. Zhou smiled and waved his right hand. 3 world rings appeared in front of them. You've just become master gods, but I don't have any gifts for you. I'll give you 1 master god tier divine artifact that belongs to you, and allow you to use up to 5 master god tier elementary grade divine artifacts. Thank you for the reward, your majesty. Thank you, your majesty. Then, they immediately took the world rings in front of them and entered them with their divine senses. Then, they saw a total of 6 master god elementary grade divine artifacts floating quietly in the center of the world rings, emitting vast nomological divine might. Even though Nazario and the others were already mentally prepared, they could not help but feel excited when they saw this scene. This was a total of 6 master god tier elementary grade divine artifacts. Moreover, from the looks of it, it was a master divine artifact that was completely compatible with their nomological path. The value of this item had risen by another level. Even a top-notch bloodline race like the original spirit race would find it extremely difficult to find such a set of master god tier divine artifacts that were extremely compatible with them. However, His Majesty had so easily bestowed it upon them. How could they not be excited and touched? Zhou looked at their grateful expressions and smiled without saying anything. In other words, there was no higher level of faith than Holy Spirit tier believers. Otherwise, he would be able to sense that his faith would rise to a higher level. The number of master gods under him also reached the level of 60 with these 3 master gods. Then, he began to think of something else. The Supreme Will gave me 3 days before heading to the ultimate void battleground. In these 3 days, I'll try my best to suppress the chaotic divine demons and obtain enough chaotic divine treasures. Zhou thought. Then, he looked in Bai Yun's direction. Bai Yun, gather the army. Prepare to head to the Chaos Sea to suppress the chaotic divine demons and obtain the chaotic divine treasure. He ordered. Yes, your majesty, Bai Yin said respectfully. Then, she immediately went to gather her men. A moment later, the army was assembled. After joining today's new recruits and dragons, Bai Yin brought 63 capital units, 598,759,015,268,289 soldiers, 99,027,760 god spirits, 24,200 true gods, and 60 master gods to the inner world of the eternal mothership. This time, he didn't hide it anymore and directly led all the troops there. The Chaos Gods race was one of the 3 top-notch races after all. The Chaos Sea was also their old territory that they had operated for many years. Even Zhou, whose strength had increased greatly, did not dare to not give it his all. Zhou and the others did not waste any time. They immediately headed to the Chaos Sea after gathering all the soldiers and god spirits. His main body remained steady and did not go. He was still led by Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu. The Chaos Sea was located at the edge of the Supreme Great Cosmos. It was one of the furthest places from the Supreme Great Cosmos. Even if the Eternal Mothership drove at full speed, and with the help of the Master God Tears, it would still take half a day to reach the Chaos Sea. Fortunately, the Chaos Ruins, which was extremely close to the Chaos Sea, was where the Chaos humans used to live. It was now the territory of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Zhou Fight only needed to use Gospel of Homecoming once, and they would immediately cross a long distance and teleport into the Primal Chaos Ruins. Then, after silently dodging the Master God tier of the Chaos Gods guarding the Primal Chaos Ruins, they headed all the way to the Chaos Sea. Half an hour later in the Chaos Sea, the moment Zhou Fight and company arrived, Zhou Fight, Ying Ning, and the other Chaos humans felt a sense of comfort and freedom that came from the depths of their bodies. It was as if this was their home. In fact, this was indeed the Chaos humans' hometown. The increase in cultivation efficiency of the Chaos human bloodline here is probably not much inferior to the increase in cultivation efficiency of the Khanate Dao body. When Zhou Fight realized this, he could not help but click his tongue. He was also a little tempted. This was simply a sacred cultivation ground for the Chaos humans. It was no wonder that the Chaos humans still could not forget about this place after so many years. This was not only the Chaos humans' hometown, but it was also a weapon for the Chaos humans to rise. Look at it the other way around. This was probably the same for the Chaos Gods race. Your Majesty, where do we go from here? At this moment, Bai Yin came over and asked. You'll have to ask our old friend. Zhou Fight chuckled. Then, with a flip of his right hand, he saw the Bodhi Supreme lying quietly in his hand. A chance to answer a formal question. Bodhi Supreme said lazily before Zhou Fight could ask a question. So expensive? Zhou Fight clicked his tongue and asked suspiciously. I'm just asking for the location of the chaotic divine demons. It's a creature with a chaos treasure at stake. How can it not be expensive? Furthermore, not only will I tell you the location of the chaotic divine demons, I will also tell you a sealing technique that I created myself. It will prevent the chaotic divine demons from opening the door of the divine demon realm to escape when they want to escape. How about that? Don't you think it's a loss now? Chapter 1410, 60 Master Gods. The location of 2 chaotic divine demons. 2. Besides, with your current accumulation, it shouldn't be a problem for you to save up 2 or 3 formal questions every day, right? The Bodhi Supreme commented. All right. Zhou Fight nodded reluctantly, agreeing to its deal. If it was the location and sealing technique, it was indeed not a loss. Moreover, the Bodhi Supreme was right. Now that it had conquered all the major races, the racial heritage it had obtained could no longer be described with numbers. If he used the foundation of these races to exchange for the opportunity to answer the Bodhi Supreme's official questions, not to mention 2 or 3 a day, it would not be a problem to exchange for 4 or 5 a day. The Chaos Sea was extremely vast. He would probably not be able to complete the Chaos Sea even if he spent 20 days if he searched aimlessly. He didn't want to waste his precious time on meaningless searches. The simplest and most direct way to ask Bodhi Supreme. Then help me calculate now. Where are the chaotic divine demons in the Chaos Sea? Zhou Fight asked. Okay. But just so you know, in order to prevent chaotic divine demons from wandering outside and causing unnecessary casualties, the Emperor of the chaotic divine demons is extremely strict with the management of the divine demon realm. Other than a few chaotic divine demons who are good at breaking through realms, most of them find it difficult to leave the divine demon realm. Therefore, after searching the entire primal chaos ruins, there might be a situation where not even a chaotic divine demons would appear. When the time comes, don't tell me I took your knowledge for nothing, Bodhi Supreme said. Zhou Fight frowned slightly but still nodded. When Bodhi Supreme saw this, it immediately began to search the entire Chaos Sea. A layer of faint black fluctuations instantly spread in all directions with Bodhi Supreme as the center. Before Zhou Fight could react, this fluctuation had already exceeded his field of vision. Actually, Bai Yun and the other Master God tier could not see this fluctuation at all. Only Zhou Fight, who was a Lord God spirit, could barely sense the existence of this fluctuation. He looked at the direction of the fluctuation and was secretly alarmed. Not only could this Bodhi Supreme answer billions of questions, but his ability was also not simple. It was almost as difficult as investigating the entire Supreme Great Cosmos. This was at least a Supreme God Realm ability, right? Or even higher. Bodhi Supreme was indeed extraordinary. That was true. How could an existence who could follow the Supreme Will and even communicate with it at any time be simple? Bodhi Supreme. What the hell are you? Zhou could not help but ask. I'll let you know when you can know about it. Bodhi Supreme was still the same as before. Zhou Fight did not probe further even though he felt helpless. Soon the Bodhi Supreme said in surprise, "You're very lucky today. There are actually 2 chaotic divine demons wandering in the Chaos Sea. I've passed the location to 0. After saying that, the Bodhi Supreme stopped talking. At the same time, 0 also pulled out the map that Bodhi Supreme had passed to it and projected it in front of Zhou Fight and the generals. They realized that one of the 2 chaotic divine demons was very close to them. They should be able to arrive in less than half an hour. The other chaotic divine demon was relatively far away, but with the speed of the Eternal Mothership, they should be able to arrive in 4 to 5 hours. 0. Immediately head to where the 2 chaotic divine demons are. Zhou Fight immediately ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. 0 said respectfully. Then, it immediately steered the Eternal Mothership towards the nearest chaotic divine demons. A quarter of an hour later, the Eternal Mothership stopped at a region with extremely dense chaotic airflow. Due to the extremely high quality of the chaotic airflow, it even produced chaotic divine lightning during the friction. These chaotic divine lightning rumbled in the dense chaotic airflow. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, making this place seem like a supreme danger. The onlookers were secretly shocked. Perhaps only true God and higher-level God spirits could walk freely in this realm. If an ordinary God spirit below the true God tier dared to come here, any chaotic divine lightning would probably shatter their soul immediately. There was no chance of survival. As for Zhou Fight and the other members of the Chaos Gods race, the smile on their faces became even more obvious. This was because they could sense that this chaotic airflow and the realm densely covered in chaotic divine lightning were extremely beneficial to their cultivation. Nice place. It's a good place for the Chaos humans to live. As the Patriarch of the Chaos, Haze of Chaos, even thought of this at this moment. Then, his expression darkened. This place had already become the territory of the Chaos beasts. Was what he was thinking delusional? He could not help but look at the figure at the front. I wonder when His Majesty will lead us to counterattack the Chaos beasts and take back our territory. He thought longingly. He could sense it. It's not too far away. Is that the chaotic divine demon? A yellow gold sacred dragon master god tier pointed at a figure in the distance and said. The generals immediately looked over and saw a towering, grayish-black beast with 6 eyes, 12 arms, and 6 heads floating in the chaotic airflow. Its eyes were closed. Chaotic air currents and chaotic divine thunder were quietly absorbed by it during the process of flowing through its divine body, causing its Master God tier advanced grade aura to become stronger. Right at that moment, its 6 heads opened their mouths. Immediately after, 6 chaos divine sparks surrounded by chaotic divine lightning flew out of its mouth and circled above its head, absorbing the surrounding chaotic divine lightning and chaotic airflow. It didn't notice the god spirits on the Eternal Mothership, who were observing not far away at all. The Eternal Mothership was equipped with the Supreme God Realm treasure, the Skin of Garlos. Even a level 1 or 2 Supreme God Realm might not be able to discover the Eternal Mothership. Not to mention a Master God tier advanced grade Chaos Demon God. In a while, this Emperor will take the initiative to contact the other party and get him to deliver the Chaos Divine Treasure. If the other party doesn't give us a chaos divine treasure, then we'll conquer the other party. Zhou Feit ordered. There were no other spoils of war after killing these chaotic divine demons that could be revived, other than the chaos divine treasure. They did not even provide any promotional energy. Zhou Feit could not be bothered to deal with the other party. If it could be solved peacefully, it was better to solve it peacefully. At most, he would give the other party some benefits. He wasn't lacking in these benefits anyway. Yes, Your Majesty. The Master Gods immediately said respectfully. Zhou Feit nodded and followed Bodhi Supreme's instructions. He formed hand seals with both hands enchanted. As the hand seals and hand seals continued to advance, a boundless universe-level chaos array silently appeared within a radius of 10 million light-years of this chaotic divine demons. At the last second, boom, the entire primal chaos space shook slightly. This nameless array created by the Bodhi Supreme had officially taken shape. The moment the formation was formed, the chaotic divine demon, who was cultivating with its eyes closed, suddenly opened its eyes. Chaotic divine lightning flickered in his 6 pairs of chaotic eyes. It looked around in surprise. Then, it sensed the surroundings again, and its expression immediately turned ugly. It could not open the door to return to the world of gods and devils. Who is it? You have the guts to lock me up, but you don't have the guts to appear in front of me? The chaotic divine demon's voice rumbled like thunder. Unfortunately, even though its voice was loud, it was immediately stopped the moment it reached the edge of the nameless array. The outside world could not hear its roar at all. Your Excellency, what do I address you as? Zhou Feit's figure appeared not far from it. This emperor is here to discuss a deal with you. I am the chaotic divine demons of the divine lightning, Zhen Chen. Who are you? Zhen Chen looked at him warily, sensing an extremely terrifying threat from the other party. Chapter 1411. 46 Chaos Divine Treasures. Feng Luo fighting 5 alone. 1. This emperor is the god lord of the blazing sun divine kingdom. Zhou Feit smiled. He didn't really care about exposing his identity. With his current strength and influence, even if he revealed his identity, it would only be a little troublesome. For example, if he encountered some trouble, it wouldn't pose much of a threat to him. The God Lord of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom? You're the new Lord of all races reserve? Zhen Chen was shocked. You know this emperor? Zhou Feit was rather surprised to hear that. Even though we've lived in the demonic dimension for a long time, we're not completely ignorant of the outside world. Zhen Chen said coldly. That saves this emperor the trouble of introducing himself. This emperor is only here to make a deal with you. What kind of deal? This emperor wants to kill you and take the chaos divine treasure in your body. In return, this emperor can make the decision to give you Master God, tier advanced grade divine artifact. How'd it go? Zhen Chen's eyes moved slightly when he heard that. Then, he looked at the array around him and the eternal mothership behind Zhou Feit and said coldly, I don't see how I can say no. Zhou Feit smiled. He was naturally determined to obtain the chaos divine treasure. How can I trust you? Zhen Chen's eyes flickered for a moment before he asked in a deep voice. Do you think this emperor lied to you? Zhou Feit asked calmly. Zhen Chen fell silent. He could sense that even though they had not fought, it would probably be effortless for the other party to kill him. Coupled with the fact that the other party had many Master God tier spaceships behind him, there did not seem to be any need for the other party to deceive him. Okay. But I want 2 Master God tier divine artifacts, and I want them to be placed at the place I specified. I'll come back for them after I'm resurrected. Zhen Chen gritted his teeth and said. He didn't say anything about promises. He was testing the other party's patience, and was already very satisfied to receive such benefits. There's no need to be greedy. In any case, dying once would only consume some of his source energy. Cultivating for thousands of years would make up for it. To an existence like him, 1 closed-door cultivation session was all it took. Okay. This emperor promises you. Zhou Feit smiled and nodded. It was just 2 Master God tier divine artifacts. He didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. Zhen Chen fell silent for a second. How could he not know that it was too cheap? The common people's regal in front of him was probably very rich. However, at this point, he couldn't go back on his word. He could only take a deep breath and close his eyes. He first told him where to place the Master God tier divine artifact before saying, "Do it." Upon hearing this, Zhou Feit did not hesitate. He immediately swung his sword and beheaded the chaotic divine demons of the divine lightning, Zhenshen dead. He stretched out his hand, and the chaotic divine demons of divine lightning, Zhenshen, landed in front of him. Just as he was about to retrieve the other party's spoils of war, he suddenly had an idea. He wondered if this chaos divine treasure would be affected by the effect of his explosive talent. If he could be enhanced by the great explosion, his efficiency in collecting chaos divine treasures would greatly increase. At that time, the time needed to upgrade the territory would also be greatly reduced. Even though he would lose the chance to obtain a large number of Supreme God Realm treasures, or even Supreme God Realm divine artifacts, if he were to use it on the Chaos divine treasure, he was not in dire need of Supreme God Realm treasures and divine artifacts. Then, he should prioritize upgrading his territory. At the thought of this, as Zhou Zhou retrieved Zhenshen's spoils of war, he silently recited the opportunity to use the explosive special explosion and the lucky star. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent notification. Your spoils of war have been enhanced by Heavenly Fate Di Huang. Perfect loots. Quality +1. Title hint. Your spoils of war have been affected by the title of Strongest Lord of all races. The number of loots increased by I50°/0. Title hint. Your spoils of war have been affected by the title of King of 10,000 Kings. The number of loots increased by 100%. Lord Talent notification. Your spoils of war have been strengthened by Heavenly Fate Di Huang. Explosive explosion. The number of loots increased by 1000%. Lord Talent notification. You have obtained perfect loots, 40 Chaos Divine Treasures. Lucky Star notification. You have obtained a special loots, the Puppet of the Chaotic Divine Demons, Master God Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou Feit looked at the 40 Chaos Divine Treasures in his hand, and his eyes lit up. Then he laughed out loud. It actually worked. It seemed that his territory level could be upgraded from a True God Tier Elementary Grade to True God Tier Intermediate Grade tomorrow. This progress had far exceeded his main bonus expectations. In addition, the puppets of the chaotic divine demons dropped by the Lucky Star were not bad. The usage of the Lucky Star was not wasted. Feng Luo, you will board an eternal battleship and bring these 2 Master God Tier divine artifacts to the place requested by the chaotic divine demons. Then he went to meet us. As for us, let's head to the next chaotic divine demons immediately. Yes, Feng Luo, Bai Yi and the others immediately said respectfully. Then they immediately split into 2 groups and went to do their own things. 4 hours later, Zhou Feit and company successfully found another chaotic divine demons. This chaotic divine demon was called the chaotic divine demon of the Dark Moon. He grasped the power of the Dark Moon laws and was also a Master God Tier Advanced Grade chaotic divine demon. He had a blood-bone goat's head and blood-colored bone wings on his back. His body drooped with tattered flesh and blood. Above his head floated an eternal blood-colored divine moon that looked strange and evil. Zhou Feit followed the same old rules. He first came in front of the other party and took the initiative to request to trade for the Chaos Divine Treasure. However, when the other party heard Zhou Feit's words, he did not reply. He only gave a low laugh. Then, he suddenly let out a sharp cry and turned into a blood-colored stream of light that rushed towards Zhou Feit. Chapter 1412. 46 Chaos Divine Treasures. Feng Luo, 1 against 5. 2. This was a person who was lawless and fearless. Shriek, an extremely terrifying willpower impact transformed into a moon demon seal that rushed into Zhou Feit's mind. It wanted to destroy his willpower in one strike and enslave Zhou Feit. Zhou Feit's expression turned cold. He didn't see him taking any action. They saw his willpower at the will divine transformation realm instantly transform into a bright saber beam. The snow-white blade radiated an extremely terrifying power of will, and the aura of a blade law that could cut through anything. Facing the Shadow Moon Demon Seal that was charging towards Zhou Feit's will, it shot out and instantly shattered the Shadow Moon Demon Seal. Then, it shot towards the chaotic divine demon of the Dark Moon, without any decrease in momentum, before the chaotic divine demons could react. His core of will was destroyed by the blade of will, and he immediately lost his breath. The chaotic divine demon of the Dark Moon was dead, courting death. Zhou Feit said calmly. The willpower skill that he had just used came from the Grade 3 Supreme God Realm willpower skill, Million Blades. Normally speaking, a complete million blades could release 10,000 will blades to combine attacks. However, how could a mere Master God tier advanced grade Chaos Demon God be worthy of him, making such a big fuss? He had only used 1/10,000th of the power of this Supreme God Realm will technique. In addition, he had just entered the will divine transformation realm, so he had easily killed this top-notch Master God tier chaotic divine demons. With my current strength, any Master God tier would be instantly killed by me. Zhou Feit thought to himself. He casually waved his hand, and the chaotic divine demon of the Dark Moon's corpse flew over and landed in his hands. After he extracted the loots, he obtained 4 chaotic divine treasures. This way, the number of chaos divine treasures in his hands had reached 46. Another 4 would be enough to meet all the requirements for upgrading the territory. Zhou Feit nodded in satisfaction and returned to the Eternal Mothership. At the same time, Terence Helu, Trita's first venerable, Master God tier of the Yellow Gold tier Sacred Dragon race, Master God tier of the Radiant Angel race. All the Master God tiers had also witnessed the scene of Zhou Feit instantly killing this Master God tier advanced grade chaotic divine demons. They were shocked, especially Terence and the others. This was because they were confident that they could defeat this chaotic divine demon. However, it's going to take a while. How could he be like His Majesty, who didn't even move and just relied on the power of his will to easily kill the other party? This made them even more shocked. Could His Majesty have actually reached the will divine transformation realm? Didn't this mean that the most difficult hurdle to become a Supreme God realm no longer existed for His Majesty? His Majesty had an almost 80% chance of advancing to the Supreme God realm in the future. This probability could already be said to be the probability of steadily advancing to the Supreme God realm. His Majesty can instantly kill this top chaotic divine demon. I'm afraid he can easily kill us. The Wisdom Master God Top Birth sighed. Terence and the other Master God tiers did not speak. However, this was already a tacit agreement with Top Birth's words. However, it was precisely because of this that they became even more silent. How many years had they cultivated? How long had His Majesty cultivated for? They were actually chased to the front by a junior. However, after a moment of silence they rejoiced. It was good that His Majesty was strong. The stronger the better. This way, they would have a greater chance of relying on His Majesty to become a Supreme God realm. They looked at each other, and were even more determined to follow His Majesty to the death. At this moment, Zhou Feit had already returned to the Eternal Mothership. After Feng Luo returns, well, return to the Divine Capital, and come back tomorrow. Zhou Feit said, Yes, Your Majesty. Bai Yin and the others said respectfully. Zhou Feit nodded. Next, he entered his cultivation hall to cultivate. An hour later, Feng Luo has yet to return. Bai Yin and the others realized that something was wrong. Even though the Eternal Mothership that Feng Luo was on was the only Master God tier elementary grade battleship, and was not as fast as the Master God tier advanced grade's Eternal Mothership, it was not so late that they could not catch up. Could it be that he was delayed by something? Right at that moment, Zhou Feit's calm voice reached everyone's ears. To the place where the Master God tier divine artifact was placed. Feng Luo is in trouble. Yes, Your Majesty. The general's expressions were stern, as they immediately said respectfully. Then, their expressions immediately turned cold. They actually dared to attack the commanders of their Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. They really had the guts of a bear. 0, let's go. Bai Yin ordered coldly. Yes, Zero said. Then, he immediately flew towards the place where the Master God tier divine artifact was placed. At the same time, about 60,000 light-years away from the Eternal Mothership, Feng Luo was wielding a silver divine saber as he fought against the 5 Master God tier enemies. These 5 Master Gods were from the Chaos God race's Big Bull God race, the Meng Bird God race, the Dragon Yang God race, the Roaring Towards the Sky God race, and the Bai Zhe God race. They had 3 Master God tier elementary grade experts and 2 Master God tier intermediate grades experts. What was shocking was that even though the Chaos Gods race clearly had an incomparably huge advantage in terms of the number of Master God tier experts, Feng Luo was still able to rely on his newly advanced Master God tier cultivation base and Master God divine artifact to fight back and forth with these fellows. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all, and he even had some advantages. ****. This is just a human Master God tier from the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Why is it so difficult to deal with? I feel that this fellow's combat strength can't be too weak even without his Master God tier divine artifact. The Master God of the Dragon Yang God race, Quirrell, cursed in his heart as he fought. The expressions of the other 4 Chaos Gods race Master God tiers were also extremely ugly. The 5 Master Gods had ganged up on a human Master God who had just entered the Master God tier realm, but they still hadn't taken him down after such a long time. This was simply a humiliation to them. Furthermore, the Chaos Gods race believed in the rule of the strong being respected. If this scene were to spread back to the clan, it might even affect their status and future. Feels so good. It was different from the Chaos Gods race's Master God tier's ugly expression. Feng Luo, who had been surrounded, didn't seem to feel any danger at all. Instead, he seemed to be enjoying himself. He had just entered the Master God tier realm and obtained a new set of Master God tier divine artifacts. This was the time when he needed an opponent. Coincidentally, the 6 Master Gods of the Chaos Gods race had come to surround him. At this moment, he felt as if he had met a talented person and met his match. There was only one word to describe it: exhilarating. I don't think my message will get out. These 5 Master Gods are quite cautious. They clearly have the advantage in numbers, but they actually set up a forbidden array from the beginning, isolating me from the outside world. Surely His Majesty will not blame me for my tardiness? The only thing Feng Luo was worried about was that he wouldn't be able to tell His Majesty about what had happened here, which would delay His Majesty's schedule. That would be a huge sin for him. I have to go back and report. We have to get rid of them as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Feng Luo's already fierce attacks became even more ferocious. He originally had a certain advantage against these 5 Chaos Gods race Master Gods. He could greatly suppress the other party with a thought. This shocked the 5 Chaos Gods race Master Gods. This guy actually didn't use his full strength just now. Right at that moment, Feng Luo seemed to have found an opportunity and slashed his saber at the Roaring Towards the Sky Master God tier. The extremely sharp nomological law of saber brazenly attacked. This Roaring Towards the Sky Master God tier didn't expect Feng Luo to be able to seize such a small opportunity. He didn't have the time to dodge at all, nor did he have the strength to dodge. He was directly beheaded by this ferocious saber. The divine body of the Chaos Gods race was powerful, and their regenerative abilities were also extremely strong. However, they were completely useless against Feng Luo's saber. They were directly killed by Feng Luo. The other 4 Master Gods were shocked when they saw this. Feng Luo, on the other hand, took advantage of the situation to pursue. He was able to gain the upper hand in a 1 versus 5 battle. Now that he was fighting against 4, the remaining 4 Master God tiers were even more powerless to resist. They could not even escape. Therefore, when Zhou Fight and the others arrived, they saw Feng Luo standing in the chaotic airflow with a saber in his hand, surrounded by the corpses of 5 incomplete Chaos God Master Gods. Bai Yin and the rest were shocked when they saw this. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.